What's up, everybody? Welcome to the relaunch, I guess, of the Natural State Sports Report. Or Natural State Sports Podcast. Sorry, we're off to a great start. I'm Aaron Wojciechowski, and I have co-host Michael Carnahan. What's up, Michael?
What's up? What's up? Glad to be back doing the sports thing, talking sports and other entertaining topics pre-show.
Yeah. Spent like 20 minutes just talking shit before we got one on the air.
Literally.
Yeah, literally talking shit. We also got Brad Hicks. What's up, Brad?
What's going on, man? I kind of sense a little marijuana in Michael's opener there. A little hesitation, that classic, hey, man, what's up? If I'd have known we weren't doing drug tests, I would have I would have told Biden to stick around a little longer.
Hey, he made it's past his bedtime. That was like, what, 3-4 o'clock this afternoon?
Oh, no, not Joe, bro. I'm not sniffing hair, dude. I'm sniffing lines, bro. Me and Hunter, bro, not Joe.
Oh, it'd be fun. So Michael's the one that used to run the show, and it was all his brainchild, and I decided to kind of copy it. So that's what we're doing here. Just stealing, but we'll steal from the Podfather. The Arkansas Podfather. Because at one point you had like what 20 different podcasts going, Michael. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I had my hand in just about everything, but honestly, you really want to look back on it. 90% of what I had, I stole from Brad in the initial. Well, we both made a lot of that, but in the initial run of Talk Radio 49, back in like 2000, what, Brad, 14, 13?
I guess back 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm gonna give you guys a little plug because I've been watching the hell out of y'all stuff that's still all up on Facebook and YouTube. So anybody watching this and didn't watch it before, go look up Podcast Network 49 on Facebook, and you can find like the American Idiots podcast and Clear and Convincing and the Natural State Sports Report and the wrestling wrap up that Michael and I did. There's just all kinds of cool shit on there. Those shows are actually pretty damn good. Everybody knows what they're talking about, which is why Michael's a better host than I'm probably going to be. But anyway, I thought we just, I was like, screw it. You know, we're getting to the dog days of summer. Once college baseball's over, there's going to be a whole lot left to do until football starts. So let's just talk sports and have fun.
And
Michael and Brad say they're in, so that's what we're going to do.
Once we get through, like you said, college baseball, and once the NBA finals are done, we're pretty much depressed until September, first week of college football.
Let me tell you how professional this is. I'm literally currently looking at pipe in a Home Depot while doing the podcast.
Bro, that could have a double.
So much of the 49 days, bro.
That could have a double meaning, Brad. That could have a double meaning.
I mean, you can take it the way you want to take it, sir.
Depending on what Home Depot you're
at. The way you want to, sir. I mean, I'm
not
not telling anybody my exact location because I have done a podcast and called out several prominent political figures. So, yeah, we'll stay off the radar. Thank you, sir.
What type of help are you looking to hire, Brad?
Well, you know.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, damn. Oh, by the way, has anyone noticed that all of a sudden the fucking humidity and heat got like ridiculous this week? Just damn.
We don't get spring in Arkansas. We go from winter to summer.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's like one day you're wearing shorts, and about 30 minutes you're sporting a damn parka.
Right.
I'm really weird because I sit here wearing a freaking hoodie in 90-degree weather because of where I work. I stay cold.
Yeah, true.
Freezer, so my body never really warms up. So even though it's 90 degrees outside, I'm still wearing a freaking hoodie right now because it's just, and I hate that. I hate being hot, but you know I can't ever stay warm. So anyway, I guess we'll start our first topic real quick. Well, a few weeks ago, this would have been a more fun topic to talk about, but right now we're in the midst of kind of I wouldn't say a free fall, but we're not playing nearly as good. Hog baseball is not nearly as good as it was a few weeks ago. Michael, I know you said you hadn't paid a whole lot of attention, but what you have seen, like it's the pitching's not very good, and the hitting's just been awful all year long.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So I remember back in the day there was this saying, which I haven't heard in a while, but it's still I think it applies to the Hogs too. I heard a saying back, I want to say it was like 2003, and I know it had been a saying for a while, but when leaves turn gold, the Braves will fold. Well, when we get into postseason play, no matter whether it's basketball, baseball, football, when we get into postseason and everything changes and all of that, yeah, no matter how good we are in the regular season, it's over. Like the only exception to that, and we'll get into that in just a little bit when we talk about Coach Cal, but it seemed like Muss had us overachieving in basketball. But yeah, no, it seems like a pattern here. The Hawks are going to be great up until the moment when they need to be great, and then they're just going to fall apart. I still vividly remember, I will probably remember this till the day I die, watching the last out of the national championship game with Brad at apartment 312 in North Little Rock and watching that ball fall in between two fucking Razorbacks and just thinking, oh my God.
So I was watching that game too, and I call into work that night, and I'm like so pumped for this damn thing, and because we're up 0, and I'm like, okay, we just need to win tonight. And it's over. Win tonight, and we're champs, and we dominate the game. I mean, I think we're up a couple of runs. Even it's not even just like a 1-run game. We're up 2 or 3 runs, and even when that ball drops, my wife looked at me and said, "They just need an out." And they're still up a couple of runs. There's still 2 outs. We got this. And I tried to be positive and think the same thing. But then once they scored that 1 run to make it a 1-run game, I'm like, we're going to lose this damn thing. That's it. It's over. And you could feel it coming, man. Oregon State got all the momentum. You could feel it coming, and it was probably the worst loss I've ever seen in my lifetime. And that's even more than the 98 Tennessee game, because that game would have gotten us position to win. But this was not a position. This was it. You catch the ball, we're national champs. It's over, and it falls right in between 2 guys. Like it was. Oh, God.
Brad, can you say you've ever been more disappointed as a Hog fan with a national championship on the line than watching that ball literally fall between 2 fucking Razorback players? Like, legitimately.
I can.
That sums it up.
Well, I can, and because I go back to the 1995 national championship game in basketball when pretty much the exact same nucleus came back from the 94 team. And you're watching that game, and it's like, here we are, we're on the cut, and then to just absolutely get destroyed by UCLA that year was just absolutely heartbreaking. And I think that it correlates to the fact that, again, it is baseball, compared to basketball. So the level was more intense for Razorback fans at that point. So I would say 95 was the worst.
I completely forgot about that one. I guess I blocked that one out of my memory, but I was like 11, so I was certainly old enough to remember it and watch it. And I just assumed, I think I was so young, I was just in the assumption that it was just going to be handed to us. Like, I watched UCLA that whole postseason. They were a one-man team. It was Tyus Edney and then everybody else. And I'm like, we got a team, man. We got a whole team. We got a Thurman, and we got Beck, and we got Williamson, and we got all these guys. There's no way that one player is going to beat our whole team. He didn't just beat us. They beat us by like 20-something points. It was a blowout.
Probably after that, the closest I remember, and we'll talk about football later too, because I know that's on the topic. But think about the last time you felt like the Razorbacks were on the cusp of a national championship. It was that fucking year with Bobby, where we that week of the LSU game, we knew we were potentially playing for the BCS national title. LSU was destroying everybody. We should have never fucking thought we were gonna be in that game. But the Garrett Ekman thing happened. Bobby's firing everybody up at Bud Walton at the memorial. We come out, we fucking score like 14 unanswered, and we're like, oh shit, we're going to the Natty. And then fucking Honey Badger takes that punt back, and fucking it was over.
If there was one guy in football I would want to see just get run over by a Mack truck, it's Tyrann Mathieu. I still to this day can't stand that guy. To this day, he didn't just have the punt return, which that started it, but we had like what 2 picks in that game, I think. Like he was all over the field, like I don't know, probably 100 tackles by the time it was over. He was everywhere. He was a one-man wrecking crew that whole game. We probably win if Tyrann Mathieu's not on the field. But once he returns that punt, you're right. That's it. That game was over.
I mean,
when
you really
you talk about games that are, you
ahead.
talk about games, not even the LSU game. Go back to the Houston and Urban Meyer game against Florida.
Jesus, 2006.
Yeah,
that was Mitch.
That right there was a heartbreaker too, because if you look at that game, we go down. I think it was D-Mac. I forget who it was, but anyway, it was a punt return on that.
I'll never forget it. Reggie Fish fumbled on the 2 because he was backing up trying to catch the punt. We'll never forget that as long as. Oh my God!
There's been several heartbreaks. Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. I mean,
Oh gosh.
Take your pick.
Alabama that same year too, because we had the game Alabama and Fayetteville. We had them beat at the end, and
another one we were up 14.
Mal was trying to throw a pass out of bounds, and for some reason, the guy with the most rocket arm I ever seen couldn't get it out of bounds. It landed in it, still stayed in the field to play. And maybe it was Dre Fitzpatrick, I think, or one of the corners for Alabama was just right there going, "Oh, thank you," picked it off, and Alabama won the game. But Reggie Fish was a special teams coordinator at Arkansas Tech when I went to school there. So I saw him, and I'm like, I was nice, I was cordial because Reggie Fish. But
how did he get a job in this state after fumbling away the SEC championship?
He only lasted a year, so I mean, our special teams went. I went to school at Tech, so I'm a Wonder Boy fan. Well, our special teams wasn't very good that year, so it only lasted a year, and he was gone. But seeing him on campus, I'm just sitting there going, God, I'm just damn you, just damn you. You catch that ball or just let it go, and we win the SEC title that night. Just let it go.
Let it go.
I could see. I try not to put a total blame on players for trying to make a play, but you got to know the situation. At that time, we had all the momentum. We had just come from we down like 17-0. Came all the way back, took the lead, and then he just. That's it.
Think about that. Like, honestly, Chris Leak is still the quarterback at Florida, but look at the domino effect if that doesn't happen. Tebow doesn't win his first national title against Ohio State and become this fucking phenom. We probably go on to play Ohio State. I'm not going to say we were going to win that game because, Jesus Christ, we were the most dysfunctional team ever that year because, well, I think we've all seen at this point the the Mitch Mustain interview that myself and Brad did a few years ago where he was talking about that. Like, the fact that they won that many games that year is just a miracle because of all the shit that was going around that season. Houston's lucky he survived that. And honestly, when you think about it, and this just occurred to me, and Brad, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you were a little bit older. Aaron, you were a little bit older at that point too, so you guys may remember it a little bit more vividly. But I mean, there's some comparisons that could be made to the situation going on right now. The offensive guru comes in as the offensive coordinator, kind of thrust upon the head coach. I think it's a little bit different with Bobby than Gus, but I mean, I'm just saying, could be interesting.
I could see the comparisons. I don't
think we have a Mitch Mustain on the team this year.
No, we don't have Mustain. I like this Taylor Green guy, though. I know we're getting the football a little bit. I'll bring him up there. Yeah. I saw some of the highlights of spring practice, and then I watched the spring game, and I've seen him at Boise too. I think he fits Bobby's offense better than KJ Jefferson would have.
We'll talk about KJ here in a minute because, like, I love KJ and I got a lot of love for KJ, but I talked to a guy this week about KJ and, like, That wasn't all on the offensive coordinator this year. That was a lot on KJ.
Well, obviously we'll probably delve into that quite a bit as we move along. But going back to baseball, though, I think the one thing that we have to do is realize that there's a local radio station down here in Little Rock, Arkansas, that former players have called in and have said that while there is probably an emphasis to have some success in that SEC tournament, I just go back and I look at this baseball team and I go, the A&M series, they trot out Hagen Smith, probably one of the best pitchers arguably in the game right now as far as college players go. And then you have Gackle, probably a solid number two, but I just don't believe that Arkansas put the effort in. Now, I know that season long they've ranked 12th in the conference in hitting. They've had this propensity to leave a lot of runners in scoring position, and the bats have been hit or miss, and some of our backups haven't been well. We've had a couple of injuries, I think, along the year, but guys, it's not over yet. We haven't played a single inning in the national championship or the College World Series, so we can't really speak to as this is like, dadgummit, we lost another year. Does it look as promising as it did in the beginning of the season? Absolutely not. But like I was talking to Aaron earlier this afternoon when we were kind of sorting out what we had going, is that I think that a lot of Razorback fans should temper their expectations. It's like every time we do something, it's like instant national title. Like Musselman, I was on that bandwagon with Musselman, like going through, like, oh man, dude, Elite Eight, Sweet 16. This past season was just epic. I thought, as far as player personnel goes, I thought, holy shit, we're deep. But anyway, and I know I'm getting off track, but with wins over Purdue and Duke, or you think. But I think that's what we have to look at, is the landscape of college baseball isn't just Arkansas and everybody else. These other teams are really good. I think we ran into a buzzsaw the year that we played NC State. They were just hot at the right moment. But if you look at the SEC tournament, like I was saying, only like if you look at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and I think it was the other SEC team that won it. I can't remember offhand. Maybe it was LSU or they won one game in the SEC tournament, and then they go on to win the national championship. So it's not the end of the world. Is there some problems that they have to correct? Absolutely. But I really believe that Dave Van Horn did what he had to do to secure that national seed, and he felt confident enough, and then he started trotting guys out there that usually don't get the work. If you ask my opinion, I could be wrong. And I know that a lot of fans look at that and they go, well, you're just making excuses for pathetic coaching. Well, if there's a problem coaching, it's not on the head hog himself. And I thought about this, and I wanted to get you guys' opinion. I used to knock Bob Stoops at Oklahoma tremendously. And but as an Arkansas fan, I would say, you know what? I don't give a shit if we never win a national championship. I want to be in the picture. And then I thought about it today, and I was like, well, Dave Van Horn has gotten us time after time after time after time, top spots. I think we're the only team in the past 17 years that's been a perennial, like, number one, number two, number three. But we can't break the seal on a national championship in baseball or a World Series championship, whatever you want to call it. And so I was thinking, maybe Oklahoma fan was right. Maybe being great and being good and being above average is all fine and dandy, but at some time I'm waiting for the payoff. I'm tired of the slot machine paying me $20, $30, $40. I want to hit a jackpot. And so maybe I was wrong in saying that about Stoops in Oklahoma. I don't know.
I would say there's definitely, there's, at least in college football, I don't know how it works off in college baseball, how many teams and what have you, but definitely in college football, there's 125 teams or 123 teams, that want to be in that final two every year. So if you're one of those, you're still the envy of 123 other teams, unless you're TCU when you ran into Georgia, and then you would have rather fucking not won a game rather than getting your heart broken like 63-7. I cannot say I would have been. I cannot say I would be able to, and then to turn around and lose to Coach Prime in the first game the next season. But I don't think I would have enjoyed being in that position. But no, if you make it to a natty in any sport, you're the envy of every single other team that didn't make it to the natty that year. So,
and to that national championship club in 2018, the dropped foul ball, and to that, Oregon State at that time was absolutely elite in their pitching and in their offense and on the field. That was a very, very good Oregon State team.
Jesus.
So I remember watching that. Well, I heard you talking as I was perusing the aisles of the Home Depot, but not a direct. But if Arthur Blank
Perusing the
wants to
pipes.
check the podcast, bro, let's ink that deal. But anyway, no, Oregon State was an absolute monster that year. If you go back and you remember that team, so I was heartbroken. But I don't know, Aaron and Michael, like getting back to the meat and potatoes of the discussion. I don't know if I'm a little bit anxious now about the tournament. I'm guessing that I don't know when they seed those or how they do that or when they announce the regionals, but
it
look like
11 a.m. on ESPN because it's
Here's-
always on Labor or on Memorial Day.
Here's the thing with all of this that I look at the positives. Positives is, number one, you obviously know your strength is pitching. It's not hitting. We talked about this earlier. Their pitching is on another level this year. So what did you do by, not going deep in the tournament? You saved your arms. That's positive. Potentially
I
deeper
don't know
run.
that anybody with a brain, with any kind of baseball brain, is truly upset at going 0-2 in Hoover. I mean, those people that are just like looking for reasons to complain about something, because nobody cares about the SEC tournament at this point, except teams like LSU. There's teams like this year, like LSU this year is down, so they're trying to win it to get in. And
Exactly.
Tennessee was playing for the number 1 overall seed, so they were playing for something. We knew we were in the top 8. It doesn't matter where you are in the top 8, as long as you're in the top 8. That's all that matters, because that means you're playing at home until Omaha. We knew we were clinched in there, and that's why Dave Van Horn didn't throw Hagen Smith the first. I was shocked he threw him the second game. I would have not even thrown him in the second game, even for just 2 innings. I wouldn't have thrown him at all. But that is what it is. But it's and even the A&M series, like I was disappointed we lost game 1, but we knew going in, all we needed to do was win one game to win the West. One game to clinch the West and probably clinch the top 8 seed. We got that in game 2. So by game 3, even though we got absolutely destroyed, again, I kind of looked at it like, well, we had nothing really to play for. And A&M was still playing for a higher seed. So A&M's playing for a top 8 seed. So, it might sound like I was making excuses, but I really wasn't even mad at that game. I think you go back to the Kentucky series, because as good as Kentucky is, we just the first game against Kentucky, we played really well and we won. The second and third game, they played really well. We played like absolute crap.
Yeah.
And then we lost the series. And that was I'm not even mad at losing the series, but we just did not play Arkansas baseball those 2 games. And Kentucky, I mean, to give them credit, they played freaking amazing, and we played like shit for those final 2 games of that series. That's when I started getting irritated. Not even at A&M, and Hoover was just a glorified scrimmage anyway. Like I didn't care. I don't think anybody cared that anybody with a brain. People cared, obviously. They're the ones that are like acting crazy over nothing. But as far as what Brad's talking about, winning a championship, as much as I want it for us Hog fans, I want it for Dave Van Horn more, because that man is one of the greatest college baseball players.
Oh, yeah.
And he needs that. I mean, that natty would solidify everything, that he is one of the greatest college coaches of all time. And I've watched enough college baseball to remember the guy used to coach at Florida State. And I remember him. I just thought, his name escapes my memory, but he coached there forever and took him to so many trips to Omaha, but never won the national title. And so I don't want Dave Van Horn to end up in that category where, he's one of the greatest coaches ever, but he doesn't have that trophy to signify. Like I want it more for him than I do even for Hawk fans, because damn it, he deserves it. And he almost had it. And now I don't want to see him get that close and then not get it.
Yeah.
No, right. I mean, Dave Van Horn is and the crazy thing is too, and kind of getting, and I guess it's college fans in general, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys either. Like, Razorback fans can calm down, and one of the prime examples I'll give you is obviously the female softball team was a massive disappointment in their regional, but to call for the softball coach who's done absolutely amazing things at Arkansas with that women's softball program, to call for her job. There's been rumblings of people, obviously I think there's the trolls on the Facebook pages, but they're calling for Dave Van Horn's job already. Like, I don't know. I mean, Arkansas has had a lot of success in baseball. You had Norm DeBryan, and then obviously followed by Dave Van Horn. At some point you have to understand that there are a bunch of baseball teams out there that are solid baseball teams. That's where these little schools like the Oral Roberts and the San Jose States and the NC States are relevant, is in baseball and things of that nature. Now, obviously there's a few that get relevant in basketball, but baseball is just it's a different sport than what the mainstream fan is used to if they don't follow it religiously. It's not the football. It's not the basketball. It's not where the big guy is going to come in, Alabama versus Arkansas, and you're instantly going to go, well, Alabama's going to absolutely just destroy Arkansas tonight in football or whatever. When two baseball teams match up and you're hitting a little white ball with a cylinder object called a baseball bat, things happen. Mistakes happen, and players get hot. Going into this tournament, I feel very confident that we've got. I'm not going to say a guaranteed win, but I like our probabilities when Hagen Smith takes the mound. The thing is that he's got to have some support, and the thing I've always said, that the Achilles heel of this baseball team so far is. Our Kendall Diggs has when he leads off, he's like 1 for 10, 1 for 11 at some point. Massive amount of runners in scoring position, wasted opportunity. And who knows? Dave Van Horn's got X amount of days to prep this team. I think he's got I think he used the SEC tournament and some of this A&M series to kind of tweak his lineup the way he feels like he needs to tweak it. I'm not going to question his coaching abilities, but the promise that I see is that, and I go back to the Mississippi State series when Arkansas was down like 6-1, 6-0, or whatever it was, and they battled back and they won it 9-6. This team has the potential if they can put it together. So
and I believe Dave said that was the most complete win of the season too, and post.
And I just don't want to be a doom and gloomer. I mean. Do I feel like we could win a national championship? I feel like we're in the hunt. Do I feel like we're a lock? No. But I feel like we've got an opportunity. If we can play if we can just play better offensively, I think we have enough pitching to support that. But the pitcher can't do it all himself. And that's the problem is our pitching staff's holding these guys down. And then it's just like, there's, if you're on a mound, you have to feel like you're isolated on an island when you're up 1-0 through 7 innings, and you're like, guys, I need some run support here. So I'm just curious to see how we do. We'll know a lot more coming out of the regional if we can get out of the regional. We'll know a little bit more after that first game what Arkansas plans on doing. I hope they do well, but it is what it is. If they don't win it, I'm going to be a little disappointed, but hey, August 29th, baby. That's all I can say.
The one thing I will say, Brad, I agree with you. I didn't even think about it. You just mentioned it, but you didn't really mention this, but you kind of mentioned around it. The offense, well, I didn't get to watch either SEC tournament game because I was working, but I did see the box score. I saw the highlight videos, and the offense, at least in the Hoover, looked like it was doing better. I mean, they put up 6 runs with like 12 hits on Kentucky in the elimination game. They put up, I think, 4 or 5 runs in the first game. So as crazy as that sounds for the way this team's gone this year, that's quite a few runs they put up at Hoover. So even though they went 0-2, I kind of feel maybe their offense got clicking a little bit. I mean, in Kentucky, they hit a couple of long bombs against Kentucky that I saw the highlight videos, and so maybe maybe
Peyton Holt is, by the way, Peyton Holt is one of my favorite players on this team, but besides Hagen Smith.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. I mean, and I wish him luck, and who knows? If you go back, let's go back to that NC State team who was atrocious going into that, was it the Super Regional, I believe. Going into that Super Regional, they were absolute trash. And by the way, can I just say for the record, I'm sure it's been said 1,000 times before, but absolutely bullshit that NC State team did not get an opportunity to finish that off.
Agreed.
That was an absolute crock of crap to me. But anyway, I know that's not this show, but I'm just saying. I just thought about that. I was like, that's absolutely. Would they have beaten John? What was it? Who was that cat from Vanderbilt? It was just amazing. Rocker. But dude was a phenomenal pitcher. But you go back and look, though, guys. Let's look how baseball's gone. The number one team in the country who had a starting pitcher that was throwing 100 miles an hour in Tennessee with Tony Vitelli as their head coach. And Arkansas surpassed them and every other SEC team in the tournament that year, when actually Arkansas wasn't the best team in the SEC that year. It was actually Tennessee. So stranger things have happened, and teams have put it together. That's why I'm saying we don't need to, and I say we, I'm not actually referencing probably any of us, but Arkansas fans don't need to go, well, there's another one. I blew that one. Because we haven't thrown the first pitch in the tournament. Now, if we get eliminated, there we go. But I don't want to sell this team short on their potential, because the potential's there, the talent's there. It's just a matter of putting it together. And I firmly believe that if it can be fixed and can be put together, then Dave Van Horn's the guy that can do it. So I'm all in with them. I'm not putting a sports book bet down on it as a guarantee, but I feel good that Arkansas's got the talent. It's just a matter of trying to find it, and that's the key thing. It's consistency. Arkansas just has to play with consistency this year in the tournament.
Absolutely. I will say one thing. I mean, again, we're fifth. If you don't think from number 5 in the nation, number 5 in the country, you can't win a natty, you've lost your mind. And at the same time, here's the thing. Of all fan bases, the Arkansas Razorback fan base should understand how hard it is to even get into a position where you're talking about being in contention for a natty in the other sports, the other big sports. So, I mean, you would think of all fan bases, the Arkansas Razorback fan base would probably be the most chill about, being in contention, but potentially not winning. You'd think they'd be that way because they know how hard it is to get there. But, of course, we are talking about a fan base that sometimes reality, they don't have a very good relationship with reality, and we'll put it that way.
You're also looking at a fan base that has the majority of us, other than 94, haven't tasted a championship in our lifetime either. And there's that craving that, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that sometimes there's that craving of we want one in our lifetime. And I think I talked to you before, Michael, about my dad, who's like in his mid-60s, who was like I don't know, 5 or 6 when they won it in 94 and 64, won the football championship 64. Mm-hmm. And he's been waiting his entire life for it. So he is one of those people. I love my dad, and he's going to hear this because he watches all of my shows. He's going to hear this. He's almost unrealistic every year. If we just have to win, it's a national championship or bust, in the seasons of disappointment if we don't win one. But it's because he's waiting for 60 years to win one. And I mean, he didn't get to see the 94 title game because he was over the road trucker and he was driving. So he had to listen on the radio. So he's never gotten to actually watch us win a championship. At least I got to see that one and live when it happened. He didn't even get to watch that one. And in 2018, he's not even a baseball fan. But in 2018, he was as fired up for that final series as I was.
Jesus Christ.
And when the ball landed, he texted me and said, "Well, this just sums up 58 years at that point of being a Razorback fan. But there's just nothing you can do about it. That's just the way it is."
I think we all had the same reaction when that ball landed. We were just like, well, Arkansas just Arkansas.
Yeah. But we'll get back to
Yeah,
Arkansas.
I mean, that was disappointing.
It
That was super disappointing. But, I mean, at the same time, like, my dad is 75, was born in 1949, and regales the stories of going to the game in Texas in '69, the shootout. Interesting story. The hog hat that my dad was actually wearing is the one photographed with Richard Nixon wearing it. In the '64 game, my dad graduated high school in '64. And he remembers those years. But I think, though, we have to look back. In fairness to that point, the game is massively different than it was 60 years ago. The talent level, the disparity in college football, I guess, is not the same. NIL has changed the landscape dramatically. One thing, I know we're talking about baseball, but it just dawned on me. Do you realize what's going to happen this college football season? This is rare air to me. And that is the fact that for the first time in my memory of college football, following it religiously, maybe over zealous at points, but this is going to be the first year without Nick Saban on the sideline as a coach. That to me is like the end of an era. That's just weird. I mean, I know we're a natural state sports, but I just thought about that walking through the store. I was like, Nick Saban's gone.
Alabama will, and honestly, and I'm planning on getting into this when we get there. Alabama is actually in play this year, in my opinion. More so than it's been in, 15 years?
Well, that's the thing, though. LSU and Alabama, though, for the most part, LSU has always been in play regardless, except for a few years.
Well, yeah.
But if you go back and you think about that, Alabama, though, Arkansas is one of those teams, even if they're not very good, I think they get up for Bama. Like, we've had an opportunity to beat Alabama several times here, in the last 15 years. We've had a look at them. And we just haven't been able to overcome their studs. But
last season,
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
True.
Last season, we went up there with no offensive line and a quarterback that may have been out for himself more than anything else. And yeah, we still lost. What was it, 24-21? I think.
Yeah.
They had the ball at the end with a chance to win it. So yeah, you're right. And I would have loved to beat Saban just one time. We do have one win over Saban though. We had one win over Saban.
Miracle on Markham.
Yep, the miracle on Markham when he was at LSU. So we got it one time, and then that was it.
I mean, here's the thing.
Paulios, my buddy, man.
Oh, my
God. That was, by the way, best call ever was when he goes, complete. I mean, I'm just
goosebumps still.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I still
miss Paul, by the way. Still miss.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. There's a YouTube video called Paul's Calls. It's like 20 minutes of nothing but Paulio's calls. It was just great. I watched it all the time. But I still remember that
game. Speaking of Paul's calls, is Poitras always in motion? That dude is in motion today. It was always Poitras in motion. I'm like, yeah, well, nothing new here. But
we were talking about the 06 year and how earlier in the 06 season and the Florida game, that run started on, I honestly believe, I don't know if I believe in ghosts or the higher, I don't know about all that, but I do know that game against Vanderbilt that year, the wind that wasn't blowing the entire game, when Vanderbilt lined up for like a 40-yard field goal to win the game, the wind happened to start blowing in and blew the ball down about a yard short of the goalpost. Right after, just 6 months after Paulios died, all of a sudden the ball just died right in front of the goalpost. And I'm like,
dude, there were so many. There were so many that season because that was the game that Mitch got benched, I think, back for Casey Dick,
Well,
which God knows.
that's a whole different. But that's a whole different story. I mean, let's be honest. If Lee Tiffin hadn't
Yeah.
missed that field goal,
Mitch
Nick
probably
Mustang's not
never
undefeated
would
with
happen.
Arkansas.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you think, I think if memory mistakes me, which it could, there was one game against Vanderbilt where Vandy was going to score, and they were on the 2-yard line, and he goes up the middle, and the running back fumbles the football, and our defensive player scoops and scores from like 97 yards out.
That was Petrino. That was
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That was that Fred Talley that, no, I don't remember.
It was,
I mean, it's,
21-24, by the way. You were absolutely right at number 11, Alabama.
But that
so
fumble.
how did we beat Florida that year? I don't know.
It was Jerry Franklin, and he picked it up and ran it back against. It was Petrino's,
right.
like, I think it was the
Second
Sugar
year?
Bowl year. Yeah, I think it was the Sugar
Oh,
Bowl year. No, it was
speaking
09.
Speaking
Yeah.
of
Sugar Bowl would have been
disappointment-
the third year.
Yeah.
Well, here, speaking of other disappointments, we were talking about this earlier, and this just dawned on me. When you said Jerry Franklin, it reminded me, does anybody remember when Tony Bua
Oh,
drilled
jeez.
Chris Leak, I believe, out of bounds and cost us the game that year?
Jeez.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, there was that. I mean, there's been a lot. I get it. You know, as a Razorback fan, it's like, damn.
Well, Chris,
I mean, I feel like an Elvis album, The Heartbreak Hotel, because it's always something.
I don't
Like,
know if you talk about how hard you follow college sports and what have you. I don't know if you guys would know this, but apparently Chris Leak's probably a sore subject for the Florida team because my guy got arrested for being a child predator or something
Wow.
not too long ago. So yeah,
Oh, geez.
yeah, he is.
I didn't know that, but
He's a character.
Man, I can't wait. It's going to be a great year for sports. You got the college football game coming out in a little under 2 months. Yes.
So let's be honest, and you already alluded to it, and I know what's next. So, I mean, Brad, let's be honest, though. You say it's going to be a great year for sports, but again, if we as Razorback fans can keep it in perspective, if we can keep it in perspective, we talked about Trey Biddy before we came on here in the walk and talk, and Trey has this thing he likes to talk about before the season about how a healthy way to look at the season and what would be successful. This year, in my opinion, a healthy way to look at the season, and Brad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 6-6. 6 and if you can get to 6 wins, I'm thrilled, and Sam Pittman keeps his job.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually have the schedule in front of me.
I just pulled it up too. I mean, you go 1-0.
I'm looking at here's what I'm looking at. You're going to absolutely probably commit a felony on UAPB.
Yeah.
Now Oklahoma State.
I think that's still in play.
Stillwater.
Yeah,
That's
I still think that's in
ranked
play.
Oklahoma State. Preseason rankings don't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
That's that right there. That game at Oklahoma State is going to pretty much give you an idea of where Arkansas will be at this season.
Yeah.
I still believe, though, coming out of Oklahoma State, if we go 1-1, I still believe that Arkansas can be 3-1 before they travel to Arlington, Texas, to play the Aggies. I believe that.
So you think we beat
Auburn? Scare me. Auburn doesn't scare me. Obviously, everybody goes, well, you know, we lost 49-3.
Something
but
about Something about Hugh Freeze though and Sam Pittman is scary.
But here's the thing though. Here's the deal. And Aaron, you may disagree with me, but Auburn does not scare me, and here's why. I look at what Arkansas was able to do. Well, not last year.
Here, I'll do this while we're doing it because I don't know if Aaron can see it.
If you look at Arkansas this year, they've made some transfer portal moves at the offensive line. Sam Pittman has gone back to being an offensive line coach for the most part. The Dan Enos experiment did not work. Or maybe it was a mixture of Dan Enos and KJ being out for himself. I will go to my grave with that point in mind. But I really honestly believe that with the mind that Bobby Petrino had, and the fact that Sam Pittman, if everything is correct, has basically told Bobby Petrino, do what you do, and that's coach the offense. I'm staying out of it unless I don't agree with something. Hopefully he just stays out of it completely and lets Bobby do his thing. If you look at this team, I really think that they have the potential, or at least my disappointment factor is at 7-5. I'm looking at this schedule and I'm going, there's some wins on that. I mean, you look at just the winnable games, in my opinion. UAPB, Oklahoma State, it's a 50-50. UAB should win that game. Auburn, 75% chance to win. A&M, not so sure.
I think we have a better chance of beating A&M than we do, honestly. I think we have a better chance of beating A&M in Arlington than we do of going into Stillwater and winning that game. And the reason why I say that is I think A&M is not a great team. They're on a brand new head coach. I think that they're overinflated as far as their, worth. Obviously Bobby, we know Bobby's a petty bitch. So Bobby wants to go in there and probably drop 60 on him. I think A&M's more winnable than Oklahoma State.
Well, real quick, I just say I think your winnable games are UAPB, UAB, Auburn's a winnable game, Texas A&M is a winnable game, Mississippi State's a winnable game. I think that gets you to 5. Ole Miss at home, I'm not scared of Ole Miss. That's 6. Louisiana Tech 7, and I really honestly believe that we go down to Missouri and we beat Missouri. That puts me at 8 wins. That's where I'm at. And then, I mean, obviously I don't feel good about Texas at home. I don't really feel good about Tennessee at home because Tennessee's gotten a lot better. But I don't know. I see 7 wins on that schedule. Easy. I mean, not easy, but I see 7 wins as a high potential in my opinion. So I could be wrong and we go 4-8, but
looking at this schedule, and Aaron, you can see it, right? I'm showing my screen. So, okay, looking at this schedule, I say 1-0 against 8 UAPB. 1-1, we drop it at Oklahoma State. 2-1 UAB. 3-1, we go in there and sneak out a victory in Auburn. Weird things happen in Auburn, though. 4-1 A&M. Drop bad to Tennessee. 5-2. Bounce back, beat LSU 6-2, 7-2 Mississippi State, 7-3 Ole Miss. I argue Texas is going to be as close as the LSU's. I think we could pull Texas out in Fayetteville. I think that's going to be the biggest win of the season. I think we beat Texas. I think we finish off on a 3-game winning streak. That's optimistic, Michael.
So what is your record at that point? With what you just said, what is your record?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10-2.
Okay, so let me put it to you this way. With what you just said, and you probably, I don't know if either one of y'all are putting this together, but let's be honest. If you go 10-2 with that schedule right there and those victories, guess what you've done as a Razorback fan? You've just bought yourself a ticket to the BCS playoffs because the expansion. Because you're a top, what? How many teams are they going to? Is it 12 or is it 8?
12. Yeah. 12.
They're going to 12 teams. If you go 10-2 with that schedule right there, you're in the top 12. I don't care who you are. I don't care. Even
with the bad, and I'm telling you, Tennessee's not going to be close. Even with the bad loss to Tennessee.
Absolutely, because you just beat probably. I see Texas. This Texas team, as good as they are, they've got I know Quentin Ewers is their quarterback. Arch is not whatever, but
I'm going to be bold and say Arch is starting.
Going to be a top. Well, I'm just telling you right now, Texas would be probably in the top 3, in
By
my
the time
opinion,
we
as
get
good as they were. Yeah, so I really feel like, and think about it, you're in the SEC now. Obviously, Alabama is not on your schedule anymore. But man, I'm telling you right now, dude, if you find a way to pull a 10-2 season out, then Arkansas is looking at I really honestly believe a playoff spot. Do you not agree, Aaron, that if you go 10-2 with that schedule, you've got to be in the top 15, very close to the top 12.
I feel like such a non-Razorback fan because you two are talking them up so much. I said in the group chat earlier, if Sam went 6-6, he needs a contract extension.
Oh no! Again, realism. That was me being an optimistic fan. I still, no matter what, think we play Texas close. I still, no matter what, think Tennessee boat races us in Fayetteville. But
I agree with was it Brad that said Auburn? You both had Auburn as a win, right?
yes,
I agree with.
No, I had
Auburn
Auburn as a loss. I had Auburn as a loss. I said we went into A&M as a loss.
Auburn is a win.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with Brad. I think we have a better chance of going to Auburn and winning than we do Oklahoma State. But and that's mostly because it's so early in the year. It's going to be our first road game, and that place is pretty electric early in the season. Because that's one thing about Oklahoma State; they'll start off hot, and then they'll cool off when the season goes on. So that's the second
Oklahoma
of the
State?
year. Do what?
Where's Oklahoma? Let me see.
They're in Stillwater.
Well, crap. Can't move the daggum chat. Okay, there it is. I'm trying to figure out what Oklahoma State's ranked right now. Because I know they finished off.
According to the schedule I saw, it was 17.
I mean, they're coming off the Big 12 championship loss to Texas. They lost pretty good to Texas. I'm going to tell you, I don't like going to Stillwater, especially that early. But like Brad said, you learn a lot from your team as far as that's the key to the season right there.
Oh, for sure. My brother and I have already talked about it. That game right there it's sad to say because it's the second game of the year, but if you win that game, you start to feel pretty darn good about.
I'm gonna be bold and say you beat Oklahoma State, and 10-2 becomes very likely.
But Auburn, I agree with Brad.
When is the last time Arkansas has had this opportunity to have a gauge game? Well, it's early. I go back there. I think A&M was early in the season one year, and we looked promising. But you've got the opportunity to go on the road early in the season and snuff out a quality win. I think this is all. I think you're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to have an idea against UAPB what our offense looks like.
Okay.
Obviously, they're probably not going to pull out all the stops, but at the same time, man, dude, if we go 10-2, I'll put a fucking red statue of Sam Putman in my yard to rival his Razorback picture, and I don't care for the guy as far as being a coach. A great guy, I'm sure.
So Brad says 8 wins. I say 10 optimistic, 6 real, as a healthy way. I say 6 wins. I mean, let's go through these, Aaron. What do you think? Looking at the schedule, you can go one by one or looking at the whole schedule. What do you think?
All right. So obviously, I think we all agree UAPB is a win.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
That's a glorified red-white game. Let's be honest here.
That game's pretty cool
too. If they lose, that's done. If they lose, Sam Pittman doesn't come out of Little Rock.
He gets fired on the field like Bielema did.
We have more of a chance of a shootout in the parking lot than Arkansas losing that game.
Are you referencing a Pine Bluff reference there?
All right, we beat UAPB.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to try to be objective. I don't see us beating Oklahoma State. I hope to God I'm wrong though.
Okay, 1-1.
We beat UAB, so that's 2-1.
Uh-huh.
I think we beat Auburn, so that's 3-1.
Okay.
consistently beat A&M, even though I think we're probably as good as they are. I can't pick us to beat them because we beat them once in the last like 15 years, whatever it's been.
So that puts them 3
That's
and
2
2.
and 2. 3 and 2.
2 and 2.
Yeah, 2 and 2. No, 3 and 2. Yeah, UAPB, UAB, and Auburn.
Yeah,
Or what?
3 and 2.
Tennessee, yeah, I agree. I hate to say it, but I don't think that game's close either. So that's 3 and 3. LSU is weird. Like I'm sure you guys have noticed. I think we even talked about this before. LSU is one of those games we get up for them every year. Mm-hmm. We get them at home. I'm going to say we somehow win it. So that's 4 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State's. We beat them 2 years ago. We beat them. Sam's first year here. Last year was a joke, but I say we beat them. So what's that? 4 and 3 or 5 and 3?
No, wait, 5 and 3. Yeah, because we beat LSU, so 4 and 3, 5 and 3. We have weird games with Ole Miss too. That's why I can't call Ole Miss really very well either.
I'm gonna, just because I don't think we're gonna win 9 games, I'll say we lose to Ole Miss, so that's 5 and 4. We beat Louisiana Tech, so there's your 6th win. I guess it's to a bowl. So now of those last 2, it's the same.
That one's tough.
It is tough, but we seem to beat Texas more times than not lately. Like right. I know it wasn't the case back in the 80s, but lately, the last like 40 years, we beat them in the Cotton Bowl, we beat them in the Texas Bowl, we beat them in Austin in 2003.
If there's going to be 70,000 people in that stadium this season, it's November 16th versus Texas. Like, that atmosphere will be electric. Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning, who I think Arch is going to take over before the season, before we get there. I think they're just paying Arch way too much money for him. At this point, Arch is a first-round fucking draft pick in the NFL.
Imagine, Michael, your prediction falling into place. You imagine what Fayetteville is going to be like if Arkansas is sitting with one or 2 losses in the top 25.
We would have already lost our second. We would have already lost our second because I said they sweep the last 3.
We're in there at what? 6 and 2, 7 and 2,
7,
and we're in the top 25. With arguably a top 5 Texas team if they hold together like they're supposed to, because they are talented. Sarkisian's done a hell of a job since he's been at Texas. You imagine what that is going to be. That's going to be
Alabama game.
Bigger than Alabama that year in 2010.
Yeah.
And guess who has season tickets? I'm just saying. But anyway. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that is, Aaron. I don't know if there is a bigger crowd. I didn't mean to cut you off of your predictions. I just think that atmosphere, did that rival when Duke came to town this year?
I think it'd be even bigger because look, as much as we all love basketball, football's still king, especially in the South. Yep. You get a top 15 Arkansas team against the top 5 Texas team in Fayetteville, that you're not going to find a hotel or those restaurants are going to be insane.
Oh geez. Okay. Game day is here for sure on the 16th if that's the way this plays out. 100% game day's here. Okay.
So you were sitting at 6 and 4, I believe. Okay.
Aaron's got us at 5 wins heading into Texas right now.
No, I got us at 6.
You got us to 6 the next week. So
the next week. So of the last 2, again, it's the same thing with Missouri as I said earlier with A&M. Until we can finally prove we can beat the assholes, I can't pick us to beat them, even though I think we're probably the better team. But I do think we beat Texas. Probably
7 and 6. Okay.
Yeah, finish the season 7 and 5, go to a bowl and win it, and finish 8 and 5. That's my prediction. And if we go 8 and 5, Sam Pittman's sticking around, and all's right in the world.
I think, and a lot of people are going to be pissed off at this. I think that if Sam can get us to a bowl game, Sam keeps his job. I was very much so on the radar, and I think Matt Hart, at one point even said that it was a done deal. I don't know what changed, besides maybe Sam Pittman came in there, sat down the day he was supposed to get fired and said Bobby Petrino, and then walked out like Mike dropped and walked the fuck out before Yurachek could fire his ass. But I mean,
well, I tell you, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that part, but I really honestly think, and I know Matt Hart said it was a done deal, but I really don't think that Yurachek was in a position at that time to release Sam Pittman. I think the way I would imagine it to have happened, and maybe I'm wrong, and Aaron, your opinion on it would be great, but what I really think happened was that Sam went in there, and maybe it was a done deal in Yurachek's mind if he didn't hear what he wanted to hear. But I think Sam walked in and goes, Hunter, I don't know what's happening, and I realize that I don't know what's happening, because he said that a lot in his press conferences, and that was one of my major detractors off of Sam Pittman. Was he was asked questions in his comment, I don't know. Why the hell do you not know? You're the head coach. But anyway, I think he went in and he said, here's what I want to do. Jimbo Fisher's out at A&M. I want to go get Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator. And I think that when that went down, Hunter said, okay, you got this year right here to prove that you can be an effective. All he has to do is be a general manager and control the offensive line coaching. So, he's got T. Williams, who's an absolute beast at the defensive guy. Now, and a lot of people say that, and I want your opinion on that too. I don't think the defense was necessarily horrible all year. I think after a certain point, when the offense wasn't doing shit, the defense let go of the rope. And I don't necessarily blame them for doing that, only because it's hard to play 100% and just take the grind of a season when it's like, why are we even worried about stopping these guys? I mean, why are we going above and beyond the call of duty when it's not going to matter, because we're just going to go 3 and out the next possession, or we're going to have a turnover or whatever. So I really think that I don't know. I'm not sold on Sam Pittman as a coach, but I was impressed, and this is why I say this, and I'll give the floor back. But I think the biggest thing for me, remembering the Houston Nutt era, was I always akin Sam Pittman and Houston Nutt in the same realm.
Oh, yeah.
I think both of those guys are very familiar with the world that they're in as far as their position goes. They did a great job for the state. They reunited a football program that was down in the dumps after, even Danny Ford, greatest recruiter of all time, in my opinion, just not an X's and O's guy. But I really believe, honestly, that Sam Pittman and Houston Nutt are the same. The thing is Sam realized that he needed to step out of his own way, and Houston just couldn't do that. I think Houston Nutt would still be here if he'd have just stepped away and been his coach, rah coach, and let his assistants do the job.
So let's kind of flip this on its head, because you said something interesting, Brad. You said we all agree that we think Sam's ass is to the fire this year. So let's look at the schedule again and look at it from the opposite direction. What loss gets us back to where we were at the end of last season, where we're like, dude, is he even going to make it through the end of the season? Because I remember heading into that Florida season. What game do we drop that makes people start talking?
Any of the non-conference games besides Oklahoma State, in my opinion. Aaron, I believe that. If you lose to any of the non-conference games, we don't know where Mississippi State's going to be, because they're, unfortunately, they had to make a coaching change, and they did the right thing by hiring that assistant coach in lieu of, God rest his soul, Mike Leach's passing suddenly in the season a couple of years back. But I think that if you drop, Jimmy Christmas, it's unfathomable. If you find yourself on ESPN2 on a Thursday night in the opening week of college football and you lose to UAPB, when Sam Pittman leaves War Memorial Stadium and he hits 630, his ass is going to need to turn right and go right over to 30 and drive down to Hot Springs and get on his fucking fat-ass party barge and remember when he was the coach because he's done.
If we lose that game, I don't think Sam's making it out of that stadium. Like, legitimately, though, like, all joking aside, I can hear rumblings if we lose to Oklahoma State. I can hear loud rumblings. If it gets to where we're at 2 and if we're at 2-2 heading into A&M, I could hear rumblings because I think there is a sect of the Razorback fan base that is just ready for Bobby. Honestly,
here's what I want to say. I completely agree with you, Brad. If you lose one of those games, or Michael, you're done. But here's the thing: I'll go so far as to say if any of those games are even close.
Oh yeah.
If any of those games are even like Missouri State close, that's what, to me, that's where the wheel started to spin on Pittman. Was that Missouri State game a couple of years ago? And I know Bobby was coaching him. I get that, but the fact is that they outplayed us.
That was not a good Missouri State team either. They didn't even make the playoffs that year.
They outplayed us. They out hustled us. They out coached us, and it took an electric punt return to put that game away. If that guy doesn't return that punt for a touchdown, even when we came back to take a lead, I don't know that we hang on to win that game. That's a game. And then Liberty. I know Liberty was a good team, but you still cannot lose at home to Liberty. You just can't.
Well, and see, that's what worries me about Auburn. I feel like Hugh Freeze has something, again, football is crazy. If we head into A&M at 2-2 with losses to Auburn and Oklahoma State, he better hope he wins out of Texas A&M. I'm not going to say he will be fired after the Texas, but I feel like Texas A&M, if he's 2-2 heading into Texas A&M and he then loses to A&M, he has got to go undefeated the rest of the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say he better go 9-3 at the worst if that happens, because you better start rolling off some wins. Because you're right, Bobby B here. And here's another thing I wanted to bring up to you guys because it's something I started thinking about. A lot of these Arkansas media guys, and Brad, I'll start with your opinion here. A lot of these Arkansas media guys are like, John Tyson bringing in John Calipari takes some pressure off of Sam Pittman. I think that's BS. I think it puts even more pressure on Sam Pittman now because now the boosters are showing these boosters, these alumni are showing finally, that we have money in this state, that we're getting sick and tired of being crappy. We're gonna go out and hire. And I know John Tyson's a friend of Calipari, and that has something to do with it. But to me, it's a sign that maybe, just maybe, this university is starting to say, you know what, we got to start using the money that we do have to compete, and these rich alumni we have. And if Sam doesn't go out there and do well, don't think they won't back up the Brinks truck to get Bobby to sign or to go get some other big name coach. So there were people saying that Pittman's kind of got a little bit of leeway now with Calipari because people are so excited about basketball. But I don't think that's true. I think, for me, it puts more pressure on him that he better get us to a bowl. I'm not saying they have to go 9-3, but he better at least get us to a bowl game, or all of a sudden it's gonna be like, look, we're gonna go out and hire another football coach because this isn't working to you.
I think, Aaron, that's a great point. Thing is I maybe right now, this media, as they call it, the news cycle is Calipari. The news cycle was Calipari. But I agree with you. But here's another thing. Here's another thing is I think that the alumni also and the boosters have kind of created this double-edged sword for themselves. And that is the fact that, and Aaron, I've seen you post very passionate, very, very passionate guy. I understand that you have an affection for Cody Rhodes. I'm kidding. I saw that on Facebook, and I was like, holy shit, somebody needs to do a welfare check on Aaron. I don't know. I was thinking, Jesus, I hope everybody around him's okay, because I mean, he just went. But
scorched earth.
I think so. This is the thing. I was talking about the double-edged sword, and that is the fact that, and I've been preaching this shit for years. I'm sitting now in front of a Walmart. You got the Waltons, you got Tyson, you got J.B. Hunt, you got fucking Lindsey, you got Jerry Jones, and you've got There's a couple others, in there as well. But those 5 guys, those 5 conglomerates, those 5 families represent freaking a chunk of generational wealth in the state of Arkansas. And you're just now ponying up money.
And mind you,
don't get me wrong.
Jerry said he's willing
don't
to
get
put
me
some
wrong.
money down.
They've bought facilities. I understand that. I'm not saying that they haven't done shit, but what I'm saying is that facilities, in my opinion, especially now, only go so far. I personally don't care about NIL as far as I don't hate it. I love it because I think it's made programs like Arkansas more attractive. It gave me more of a chance, in my honest opinion, to be relevant in the sport of college football on a national championship level to a degree. Because before then, I am a realist. I honestly, I go into looking into every season and go, we're not the Alabamas of the world. We're not the Georgias of the world. We're not and if you disagree with me, I'm fine with that. But I can give you, I hope this show isn't immune to the facts like CNN or some of those networks. But if you go back and go look at the perennial top 25 teams that are in the CFP every year. It's the same fucking song and dance every single year. It's Michigan, it's Oklahoma, it's Texas or USC at the time. It was Ohio State,
Bama.
Alabama, Georgia, LSU. It was the same fucking take your pick of 10, 15 teams every single year. And I think opening it up, is this 12 teams really going to change much? Probably not. It's just going to give you the illusion that there's an opportunity for your team to win a national championship. And it's going to put you in a spotlight that's different. But it's also, NIL has changed the landscape of college football. NIL ran Coach Saban off because Saban didn't want to put in the work that he would have to do now. I mean, it's already a grind for him anyway. Think about what NIL has done. Now you have to work harder. The transfer portal. I was pro transfer portal. I'm starting to become 50-50 on the portal only because I'm seeing guys transferring 2-3 times in their career.
Yeah,
and I
kids
don't know about
don't want to compete anymore. They want to be handed the reins.
I love the fact that kids from like Boise State, now that Chris Peterson hasn't been there and Boise State's not the mean blue machine that they used to be, that he gets an opportunity to perform on the national stage week in, week out. I mean, let's be honest. The SEC, the big fucking 30, whatever you want to call it now, those teams get on the national stage every single week. May just be because Arkansas is playing Alabama that they get a nighttime game, but they're on the big stage. And I think that going back to the boosters though, Arkansas's got to step up. The fan base, Arkansas One or whatever they're calling that NIL fund. I know some people say, well, I'm not fucking donating money. I already paid tickets. Well, that's fine. But I think to a degree, if you want to compete at the level that Alabama's, the Georgias of the world have to do, we have to raise ourselves up as fans too and be on a different level than just watching it on television. Now, I understand that fiscally it's impossible to do for a large constituency of the state because of, income and things of that nature. So if you can't do it, you can't do it. But I think at the same time, there are plenty of those guys that have money, disposable income that could potentially donate to the program along with these boosters. If John Tyson's willing to pay $8 million to his buddy to come coach, and he's willing to put a little money in the coffers for the NIL, then John or J.B. Hunt, Jerry Jones needs to do that. He just doesn't need to pick players for Arkansas because I've seen what he's done to Dallas.
So there's
no offense, Aaron.
No, you're right. I'm not arguing.
There's a lot here to unpack as far as this goes. And, getting into, I guess, what our debate topic was there, Aaron, I will say this, and this is not going to be popular, but I think Brad is going to understand where I'm going with this. Even though I know where Razorback fans want to go, I don't think Bobby's the move. Should be the move. Should you fire Sam?
Well, I mean, let me ask this: why? Aaron, do you agree with that? Because I want to know why.
I honestly don't, but I'm willing to hear Michael's side of it. But honestly, no, I don't. I mean, if Bobby wants it, I said earlier in the group chat, I don't know that Bobby wants to be the head coach anymore. He seems to be incredibly happy being an offensive coordinator and doing. He even said that, and I understand what he says in the media. I've gotten smart enough over about 40 years to know not to believe everything I hear in the media. But at the same time, he did say like he loves calling plays and creating offense, and he don't have to worry about the defense, the special teams, and which way the wind's blowing for kickoffs. And other
Bobby's very smart human being, especially since especially since he got caught, with a girl on the back of his motorcycle. Very smart, media savvy.
Or if I can say one thing, and this is a sore subject for me, but if you don't know that you have a fucking timeout in overtime, fucking Kyle Shanahan.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you're not wrong.
That's PTSD, goddammit. PTSD, Aaron, I'm sorry.
But when we look at it with Bobby, number one, I absolutely do not buy into that. I think Bobby knows where he is. I think Bobby knows that if he keeps his nose clean and keeps his mouth shut, if Sam fucks up, Bobby's sliding in. And Bobby will absolutely 100% sign for Sam money, I think. And when I say Sam money, I'm talking what Sam signed for his first contract. I think Bobby would love to take, $1 million right now a year to be back in the SEC and to be a head coach and to, because there is a tremendous upside for him if he wins. There's no downfall for Bobby Petrino if he loses, because it's Arkansas. Nobody would have expected him to do it. Here's why I don't think Bobby works as a head coach. Bobby's offense is, we're talking about an offense that 10 years ago, took us to the precipice of the SEC. The SEC evolves. Now he can't even win championships in a FCS level.
Well,
I feel
Michael,
like there's somebody
the
else we could go out and get.
Well, here's the thing. You've got a coach in Bobby Petrino sitting on your staff. And here's why I disagree with you, and maybe I misheard your statement. I don't think that Bobby Petrino is over there like the Grinch in the corner rubbing his hands together with this evil grimace.
That's absolutely what I was imagining. Like Bobby's over there.
Well, I know
this job's mine.
I kind of feel. Oh yeah, I kind of feel like I think Aaron feels the same way. I don't think that Bobby's over there going, mess up, Sam. Just mess up one time. I really think that Bobby Petrino, and this is why I think he's genuine. Bobby Petrino showed up at the Little Rock Touchdown Club with nothing on the line whatsoever. No aspiration, inclination that he would ever return to Arkansas. And he gave the most heartfelt apology and the most unscripted tears that I've ever seen in my entire life out of an athlete or a coach. I really think that the sport of college football has humbled Bobby Petrino in a sense. Because here's the deal. Bobby Petrino had the ultimate gold mine in Texas A&M at his disposal. But what I think that Jimbo Fisher, a la the opposite of what Sam Pittman said, was Jimbo Fisher basically told Petrino, I want you to be the offensive coordinator, but I don't want you to change shit. You're going to run my system. You're going to use my terminology. You can sprinkle some of your shit in there, but that's it. And I think that the sport has humbled Petrino. I think he's back at Arkansas to make amends. And I think that's why he would take the job if it was offered to him. But honestly, and this is the way I feel about it, is, and Aaron, you can back me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I really think that if Sam Pittman fails, Bobby fails. because I don't in any other. The only way I could see Sam failing and Bobby not failing is if the defense comes out and they're ranked 132 out of 132. If the defense is putting up astronomical numbers and they're stopping teams and we're still 4-8 at the end of the year because the offense was inefficient, that lays at the feet of Bobby Petrino, and Sam Pittman probably angled himself in there to a degree. Because I don't think Sam's a conniving guy. So I don't think he even thought about it. But that lays, Aaron, don't you agree that lays the blame at Petrino's feet if we're not successful? Because Sam's basically told him, I'm going up to the office. I'm going to sit at the desk. I'm going to make sure everything's running efficiently. But T-Will, you're on defense. Petrino, you're on offense. Now make it work.
So
that's a failure to me. Aaron? I mean, that's a failure to me. If Sam fails, Bobby fails.
Yeah, I agree. Look, Bobby Petrino was brought here for one reason, and that was to save Sam Pittman's ass.
100%.
Yeah.
That's the reason he was brought here. And there's the reason. And deep down, Bobby wants to win here more than Sam does, because Bobby, I agree with you, Brad. Bobby feels so bad about what happened, about the mistakes he made in the past, and he wants to make up for that. And he knows somehow winning an SEC title at the very minimum would make up for that. So he was brought here to save Sam Pittman's ass. But the one thing I want to disagree with you on, Michael, you threw out a minute ago that he couldn't win at the FCS level. He wasn't coaching at North Dakota State. He was coaching at one of the worst FCS schools in the country, in Missouri State. They have a good baseball team, but I watched enough FCS football because I love UCA to know that Missouri State was awful when Petrino got there. And when they came to Fayetteville, they were ranked in the top 15 in the FCS. And so I don't
look
know
at his last season though. Bobby has 3 great seasons, and then just like Louisville, Bobby falls off.
I will take 3 great seasons right now over 4-8 like we were last year. I mean, that's what I'm saying though. I would take 3 great seasons over 4-8.
So
but I agree with you completely, Brad. He was brought here to save Sam Pittman's ass, and he's not. I mean, that's what he wants to do.
So 2 more things I want to bring up though. You mentioned that Calipari thing may have bought Sam some additional time or whatever, however you want to say it, some grace. That buys Sam grace till 6:30 p.m. on August 29th. The second that ball hits the tee, it's Sam Pittman's ass. You know what I mean?
No, I wasn't saying that. The media was saying that. I never once thought that. But guys like Trey Biddy and Bo Mattingly, who we all 3 like.
I think Bobby did more than Calipari did to save Sam's ass.
That's probably true.
The other thing I will say, and Brad and Aaron, I want your opinion on this, and I know we're going to get more into this in just a second, but I want your opinion on this specific statement. I am terrified of another coaching search under the reign of Hunter Yurachek, because let me tell you that the only thing that saved Yurachek's ass in this was John Tyson. I firmly do not believe that Yurachek had a damn thing to do with Calipari coming. I think Tyson more likely stepped aside, was like, motherfucker, step aside. I got this shit. We already set it up. And Yurachek just happened to be the beneficiary.
Well, Michael, I will argue against you on one point, and I encourage you to go watch the John Tyson interview with Bo Mattingly on the Hog Pod.
Mm-hmm.
John Tyson literally admitted that all he did was facilitate the meeting. Now, let me tell you how, and Aaron, I don't know if you listened to it or not. Did you listen to it at all?
The interview with Tyson? Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about. This is, Michael, this is right here is just how fickle and opportunistic that this was. John Tyson was going to call Calipari. He said, usually I was going to wait till the morning, and I was going to call him in the morning. He said, you know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to call him during the day or tonight. He said he called Calipari, and Calipari said, John, I'm glad you called me tonight because he said, if you'd have called me this morning, I would have been on a plane back to Lexington. And all Aaron, I don't know if I don't know how well if you've met him or if you've heard of him. I don't know much about John Tyson other than what's happened here recently. Seems like a very genuine individual. But Michael, he said in that hog pod that he wasn't going to be the be all end all to Calipari coming to Arkansas. He basically told Hunter Yurachek, look, I'll take care of the finances, but you've got to go get him. I'll facilitate the meeting, but you have to go get him. And Hunter Yurachek approached the situation in listening to Calipari talk. He basically said, hey, coach, what do you think about this? Who do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? And then all of a sudden Hunter goes, what about you, John? And they started talking. But I don't think that John Tyson was the be-all, end-all. I think Hunter Yurachek went out and did his job. I don't also think that
you don't think he got lucky?
Hunter Yurachek's been the greatest thing. No, absolutely not. I think Hunter Yurachek's been an absolute wonderful athletic director at Arkansas.
So here's my thought process. Again, I see your point, and, that expands my knowledge upon the subject. But we're looking at, legitimately, the second coaching search in a row where, at least on the outside looking in, it appears that HY fell to his third or fourth choice. Like, let's be honest. We all know 100% Sam. We all know 100% Sam wasn't his first choice.
Well, let me ask something, Michael. Let me ask something. Who?
You don't think anyone was offered this job before Cal happened to be open?
Well, here's the thing, and I don't know how much of the media has a part in it. Everybody wants to break the big story. Everybody wants to be right. But let's be honest. The media didn't do their due diligence when they announced that Chris Beard was a candidate at Arkansas, because if you went and did your due diligence before you reported that, you would notice that he had already signed his contractual extension way before he was announced as the head coach. From what I understand, it had been signed, or it was announced that he was a potential suitor for the Arkansas job.
To be fair, did it not make Arkansas look stupid because
No, because that's coaching these days, Michael. Every team, and Aaron, you can attest to this, every single team in college football, if you're not one of the major big blue, look at Kentucky basketball. Are you fucking kidding me that they wanted BYU's? Aaron, I want Aaron's opinion on this before you say anything, Michael, and this goes to your point. You talk about Hunter Yurachek. Barnhart or Barnwell or whatever the hell his name is at Kentucky absolutely looks like shit. And it talks about the stature of Kentucky basketball when they honestly thought, and I will go to my grave thinking this, they honestly thought they could throw an $18 million a year package at Hurley at UConn, and he would go, you know what? It's UConn. I've won 2 national championships back to back, but man, that's Kentucky.
That's Kentucky.
That's literally, we play basketball in the same building where the fucking game was invented, basically, or named after the same guy. To me, I'm just saying, man, they settled for Mark Pope at BYU, and this thing is Kentucky now probably looks at it and goes, maybe Mark Pope's going to be a great coach at Kentucky, although he's coming to Kentucky with the Calipari knock of having not really been able to get past the NCAA championship or tournament game. But let's be honest. Who won in that situation? Hunter Yurachek won in that situation. We landed a Naismith Hall of Fame coach. We landed the head coach association president or whatever, and John Calipari, a national championship coach, a coach that took UMass. Actually, let's be honest, Calipari came in and whipped Arkansas's ass with UMass one year.
He brought that up more.
Memphis.
You ain't wrong.
Yeah, Memphis. Kentucky.
Aaron, what do you think?
Look at the bloodline. Go ahead, Aaron.
What do you think? Did HY luck up, or do you think HY, number one, do you think Cal was the move, or do you think Cal fell into HY's lap? And number two, is this like it looks like on the outside looking in? Is this 2 coaching searches that HY fumbled and he just happened to have Cal fall into his lap.
So when I'm gonna start by going back to when HY started here, I was massively into the guy. There's been a lot of things happen over the last 4 years. Like, look, I don't want to sound like Mr. Negative here, but Pittman probably should have been fired during the season last year.
I don't know about during the season, but yeah.
Well, I want to go to as far as what Brad was saying about some of his press conferences. You just can't have a head coach that doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. And I don't want to see him fired as a coach. I just want to see him fired as a head coach. If he wants to stay on and be offensive line coach, go for it. That's what he does. But,
stick around and do the job you're good at, sir.
Yes. But, so for that kind of bugged me when he said he was keeping Pittman. And I was like, all right, I don't know about this guy. Did I'll go both ways. Did he luck into Calipari? Calipari fall into his lap? Yeah. But he still had to go get him. He still had to go convince him to come here. So, no, Brad, I've never gotten to meet John Tyson. Probably never will. I'm sure he doesn't come meet us little hands that he has in his plants. But I've seen enough interviews to know the guy seems like a legit good guy. And he pays me very well, so I can't complain about that. But not Calipari money, mind you, but I'm making okay money. But did he fall into did he fall into his lap? Yes. But then Hunter Yurchek had to go convince him to sign here. Because if it had just been John Tyson, then Tyson could have offered him all that money and he could have just said, hey, Yurchek, I'm coming. And that's that. But he didn't. He met with Yurchek and Yurchek had to talk him into coming here. So I will give him that much credit and say that it wasn't total luck. I mean, to me, you make your own luck. He had an opportunity. He took advantage of it. He brought Calipari here. And now
let's shove some dirt on it for the two of you again. And I want to bring up two more subjects for HY. Because I think HY's ass is on the line here too, honestly. Like HY's ass is tied to the success of Sam Pittman and John Calipari. Like one of them needs to be close to a natty before 2 or 3 years is up for HY to look like a genius. But anyway, I'm going to add some more dirt onto this and ask you guys. KB and the bus video. Both of those are bad looks when you know what happened afterwards.
No, they're not. I disagree with you. The bus video was absolutely perfect. We don't know what Hunter Yurchek knew.
If you're looking back on it though, and the Calipari hire doesn't happen, are you still saying it was fantastic?
Absolutely. I don't think we don't know the whole situation. I've heard reports that Musselman was out of here in 2021, and I think Hunter Yurchek's a no-nonsense guy. I think he was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Like Kendall Brown. I mean, are you going to be in a situation where your significant other is constantly flirting with other people and you're just going to be like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm good. No, you're going to not tell your self-worth that way. And so that was Hunter Yurchek basically going, you're not holding me hostage, man. So either you're here or you're not.
Aaron, what do you think about the infamous bus video and how he handled Kendall Briles?
I got to be honest. I must have blacked it out. I don't even remember the bus video. Just to be
the bus video was when he everybody thought that meant that that Musk re-signed and was back, but he tweeted out a video of him and Eric on a bus, and he was like, "You're still here," and everybody thought that meant that Musk re-signed, and everybody reported that was the announcement. Musk re-signed. And really what it turned out was it was a lot like the Kendall Briles situation. He called his bluff and said, hey, if you're going to leave, motherfucker. But otherwise, are you here? Sometimes that works. Sometimes I think that backfires.
Well, maybe, but I kind of think that's a good way to do shit. Like if you don't want to be here, get the hell out. Like, Musselman, I've heard Musselman flirting with other, like wanting to, the rumors for the last couple of years about him wanting to go somewhere else.
I don't think he was ever going to SMU, though, to be fair.
Probably not.
I think it was always a West Coast job.
As far as Kendall Briles goes, everybody in the state wanted to run him off after 21 anyway. So, like, It
which
is what it
I
is.
look back on and I'm like, why the fuck did we do that for Dan? God bless the Dinos.
Yeah. Okay, there's another thing back to Pittman for a second. Not just his god awful interviews, but also his why? I couldn't even get excited. I was trying to get excited because I do remember us having some good offenses when Enos was here before, but we had Brandon Allen, Austin Allen, those guys, and we were putting up points. But still, I'm going. That's not what KJ's built for. And we already have a quarterback here. He's not meant to run. I mean, that's another reason why I was glad he left to go to UCF because I don't think he's fit to run Bobby's offense. Just to be honest,
100% now.
So
KJ does not have a quarter of the arm that he would need to, or he. So what I think, and Brad, correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think what we learned last year was, number one, KJ Jefferson does not have the arm needed to be an NFL quarterback. Number two, KJ Jefferson cannot read defenses. I do not. I will die on that hill. I do not think KJ Jefferson can read the defense, and I think we learned that last year where he had to read defenses in Enos' system. Brad, what do you think on that part of it?
Oh, no, I agree with you, dude. I think that I think literally, I don't know if he can't read defenses because I don't think he's absolutely stupid. I just think that KJ was out for himself, and so he changed his style up, looking for that, as they call it, the bag or the money.
Yeah.
If you ask my opinion, and I think obviously having no offensive line did him no favors.
Yeah.
But I still believe that KJ's not going to be. I don't know. I mean, if he goes under Gus Malzahn and flourishes in that system, maybe. But I don't think he was a fit at Arkansas after this last season because I think he was out for himself.
So, and I kind of want to go back. The reason why I say it wasn't to disparage the young man. I appreciate what KJ did since he's been here in 2019, I think is when he arrived on campus. And God knows I appreciate anyone that fucking survived Chad Morris and stayed around. But the reason why I say that is he flourished under Kendall Briles. What was Kendall Briles' offense? A quick one read. Either you're going to pull it and throw it to a quick receiver. And Traylon Burks, we talk about Sam Pittman's coordinators propping him up. How much did Traylon Burks prop KJ Jefferson up that Outback Bowl year in 2020 or 2021, whichever one it was? But how much did Traylon Burks prop KJ up? But what I mean by he can't read defenses, again, Kendall Briles' offense was quick. Either you're going to hand it, you're going to run it, or you're going to throw quick on a slant. You didn't see a lot of deep passes in Kendall Briles' offense. And that's what I mean. I don't think if you have to go past that first look, I don't think KJ's there. And, I think I even remember when he was running Chad's offense. I think me and you both said that, talking about the Western Kentucky game. I think me and you both said that, Brad, when that happened. I remember you saying that you didn't think that KJ could read defenses. Of course, that was 5 years ago, but still, I never really saw his ability to go past that first look. Aaron, what about you? Did you ever really see that ability to go past that first look, or do you think, like I said, the more complicated the offense, the worse KJ gets?
It was definitely the more complicated the offense, and that's why, I was one of the first ones to say when he transferred, thank you for all you've done, but bye bye, because it was just and I think deep down, Sam and Bobby both knew this. Circle back around to Sam, that we had to let KJ go and not try to keep him here because with so much on the line this year. God, this is the biggest year of Sam Pittman's life. It's probably one of the biggest years, maybe one of the biggest years of Bobby's life. It's certainly one of the biggest years of Hunter Yurachek's life. Because if this team goes 4-8 or 3-9 again, the Wolves are going to be circling. There's no way they could keep Sam around. And so I think Sam, like you said, he's not stupid. He knows that if KJ sticks around, it's going to take him half the year to get Bobby's offense down at all. It's going to be hard for the first half of the year to even score, 2 touchdowns a game or 3 touchdowns a game because he's not going to have that offense down.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's definitely the more complicated the offense got, more complicated the defense got, which is why a lot of the defenses were just like, starting to throw stuff at him that he wasn't able to combat. His option was, especially last year, was to tuck it and run. Look for one receiver. If he's not there, tuck it and run, which, only works so long before eventually defenses start going, all right, if you want to tuck it and run. We're going to have 8 guys in the box to shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And if you can't throw the ball, like he had, I think today I watched the after A&M game that the 3 of us did from 21. And we talked about what a rocket arm he had. He did have an arm where he could throw the ball 60 yards down the field, but there was no accuracy to it. Like that was the problem. He could fling it as good as, as most of the quarterbacks in the country, but it doesn't matter if the ball's going 10 yards over a receiver's head or down at his feet. And that we saw a lot of that last year. Even that Florida game that we won somehow magically won. He had quite a few plays in that game where he was just throwing the ball at receivers' feet, chucking it over their head, or just taking off and running. Because there was a point from like the second quarter until we made that comeback in the fourth where our offense was just dead. We did nothing. And it was because, he couldn't read the defense. And Florida was like, all right, we're going to start throwing this stuff at you. And then by the fourth quarter, it was like Sam just told him, look, man, just take over. Just use your legs and take over. Quit trying to run, or quit trying to throw the ball and just run. Because once he started running, we were starting to move the ball again. But, I don't wish any ill will on the guy, but he just wasn't, I think a lot of us, including myself, got awful excited because 21
we thought he was Heisman.
Yeah.
He thought he was Heisman.
Yeah, we did. And I remember Brad saying that he didn't at that time. And Brad was – here's the one thing, Michael. I will say.
Right.
Yeah, you and I are way more like almost we don't think things through. We get
reactionary.
Reactionary, yes. And Brad's more of the calm, all right, guys, you may be right, but I don't think so. Here's what's going to happen. Because he picked it right. He said we're an 8-win team that year. After we beat A&M to go 4-0, and me and you were talking about going to Atlanta. He's like, guys, I think we're an 8-win team. And he was right because we were 8-4. So
still a magical year, though.
It was a great year. And that's what the thing with KJ. We all got so excited because that year was so good that we thought, this guy's the end all be all. But then 22 kind of started to show his chinks in his armor. And then last year, like the offensive line, like Brad said, the offensive line certainly didn't help, but it was not good.
Brad, what you think?
Well, no, and KJ, well, I appreciate the compliment. I know I'm no Lee Corso, but I don't know, I just look at things from a different perspective, and I Aaron, I don't have you by many years, but I've invested so much in Arkansas as an athletic program and as a fan that I try not to start getting. I don't want to. My thing is I'm not setting us up for a 10-2 season, only to finish 6-6 and just feel this absolute doom and gloom that usually goes along with it, which is totally in perspective of reality. It's kind of ignorant to do, considering it's just a game. But with KJ, I had doubts about KJ. Oh, what game was that? It was early in the season, and KJ, the announcers made the comment that KJ Jefferson had said, I'm going to show you why I'm the best quarterback in the SEC.
BYU.
And BYU. And then that's when I went, oh, no. KJ's going out to – all KJ wanted to do was set that record. And in defense of Kendall Briles and Dan Enos, somewhat I can defend Dan, is the fact that there was a couple of times that even Kendall Briles in that one game where we probably would have won that game had he been healthy, that Kendall Briles said, hey, KJ's not ready to go. And Sam goes, yeah, he is. He said he wants to play. He's playing. And that's where the –
Are you talking about Liberty?
Maybe it was Liberty. And I'll say that's where the selfish play came in. And I started noticing these little intricate little caveats to KJ's game where I was going, I I don't think this guy's a Heisman Trophy winner. But I also, another thing, to your point of Katie, and I'll defend the guy, is I honestly don't believe that KJ can't have a career in the NFL. I mean, is he going to be a superstar? Probably not. But at the same point in time, you do make a good point with Kendall Briles giving him the quick check out, offense or whatever. But at the same time, last year he didn't get a chance to flourish because A, our receivers couldn't get separation, and B, he just didn't have the time to do it. And I think KJ was saving himself in a lot of those situations where he would take off running and get a first down. I think he was saving himself, being beat up. But I'll tell you this, another point, and Aaron, I know you'll probably agree with this 100%, is when I really learned about KJ Jefferson was when we were playing Texas A&M, and a lot of people were like, that's just him trying to make a play. No.
Oh, you're talking
That's
about
him being selfish and trying to score and fumbling the football and having a 14-point turnaround that ultimately cost us the game, in my opinion.
That was so
crazy.
bad.
That's the intangibles that makes a quarterback for me, is not the guy who's going to go, I'm taking this in for a score. No, I need the guy that's going to make the safest play possible to keep his team in the game, not stretch the goddamn football out in front of you, one arm
From the
from
5
yards out and get it swatted out of your hand. That's the intangibles that I guess maybe separates what you guys see and what I see. Is I'm a very detail-oriented individual, as you all know with how I conducted my character in wrestling. I paid attention to what was said the week before. I would study any crowd that was coming into the building, like Harding. I would find out their major rivalry as a heel, and I would go after them. That's kind of what I do when I analyze a football game. Is I'm looking at this thing, looking at those intangibles, those little bitty moments that look microscopic at the moment, but are of a huge magnitude in the overall scheme of what is transpiring out on the football field.
It is crazy that you mentioned that play, because literally that play was in my head. When we started talking about, moments where we realized KJ may not be it, that was the first one that popped into my head, was that A&M game, because we were just flat out whipping their ass. It wasn't even
Yeah, it did not even look.
You realize we were going to go up 21-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not look like our defense was teeing off on the quarterback. I remember that game. That play literally changed the game. Literally changed the entire outcome of that game, because we were blowing them out. There was not a chance. And then that one play.
I did something that night I never do. Honestly, I never, even when we're getting blown out, I don't turn games off. I watch all the way through to the end. I turned that one off and went to my mom's. I didn't even watch the second half. I kept up with it on my phone. And when I saw we were going down and we had a chance to kick a field goal at the end.
God bless poor Cam Little.
And I'm like, we're going to miss it. There's no point even turning it on. We're going to miss it, because you could just feel it coming. And then it went wide, left, or right, or whatever the hell it went. I can't remember. I think it was right.
Now, did you hear the story about that?
No.
I
still feel bad for Cam.
Well, I don't feel bad for Cam Little, and this is why. Because there's a scientific story behind that, and that is the fact that if you go and look, I didn't think about it until after the game and when I saw the report, but the uprights in the NFL are exactly X amount in as compared to the college game. Had he been kicking on college uprights, that's a good field goal. So, in that aspect, I feel bad for Cam, but it wasn't Cam's fault.
No,
Cam has probably been one of the best kickers that Arkansas has ever seen, minus a guy whose namesake follows Cam, but it's not related, in Steve Little. But yeah, fucking Jerry Jones, asshole, change your fucking uprights to college specs, dickhead. At least that game.
I never once put it on Cam. I never once put it on Cam, because I just felt like it should have never come down to his leg.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. That's why I say poor Cam.
Yeah, it was not even like even when it was over, I'm like, well, he's going to hit about 30 more this year. It'll be all right. But I wasn't even mad at him about it because it's like it should never have come down to you. The game was over in the second quarter. If Jefferson just hangs on to the godforsaken ball, then we at the very worst we kick a field goal and go up 17-0. But we probably get down to the 2 and then score a touchdown on the next play anyway. And his Superman leap from the 5-yard line just cost him the game. That was it.
Well, and to be
people
fair,
argue, Aaron. People argue with them all. They're like, that's just competitive spirit. I understand you've got a competitive spirit, but at the same time, let's be honest. Good quarterbacks in the NFL are what? Not like Cam Newton's punk ass.
Let's be honest. Could you see Patrick Mahomes doing that same thing? Absolutely not. You would never see Patty.
I don't know.
Thing.
Well, Pat Mahomes. Here's the thing, though. In the Super Bowl against Tom Brady, he ran for 548 yards, east and west.
You ain't lying about that. But what I'm saying is, Patty would never line up from the
all
5.
You got to be is a freaking game manager. That's all you have to be.
True.
You don't have. I mean, was Tom Brady like? Obviously, Tom Brady's really, really, really good.
You almost said it.
Montana, but he wasn't.
You almost said
but
it.
He was not. I'm a Joe Montana buddy. Joe didn't know how to lose the Super Bowl. But anyway, my thing is, and Joe's still married. Hello. But anyway, but what I'm saying is Tom Brady is one of the greatest accurate arms, but he's very fucking intelligent. Peyton Manning's super intelligent. Peyton's above Tom Brady as far as his ability to analyze the defense. To me, Tom Brady made a goatish career, I said goatish career out of being a super elevated game manager. I know that's probably, you're probably
not wrong.
Dropping jaws when I said that.
No, you're not wrong.
But Tom Brady wasn't scrambling. He was smart, and he would pick you apart. But let's be honest, the great quarterbacks have great freaking wide receivers. And I'm not saying that Arkansas doesn't, but in KJ's defense, he didn't have the best wide receivers, but you had a punishing running back in the game. You had the ability. But you took it upon yourself to be a fucking glory hound. I'm sorry.
That's the thing. I mean, and that's why I say, number one, KJ doesn't have, in my opinion, KJ doesn't have the arm strength or the accuracy to be an NFL quarterback. I think KJ is Tim Tebow without the decision making. Tim Tebow would never have done that. But Tim Tebow also was a better leader, in my opinion, too.
Well, Tim Tebow, the thing about Tebow is that Tim Tebow was another big guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he also though, like you said, he was, I mean, and I know more than your punk ass talking, but anyway, just kidding, Michael. Tebow, he did that in the But he stopped, he pulled up, and he flips it to the guy in the back of the end zone. Because Tebow understood the concept, and KJ, in my honest opinion, and Aaron, this one's to you specifically, KJ Jefferson was not about the Arkansas Razorback football team in this final year. He was about himself. He wanted to become the highest passing quarterback in Arkansas history. And as the stupid asshole said on Twitter, I want that bag. Take your fucking bag down to UCF and drill a megalodon, you piece of shit. Excuse me.
Damn it.
No, I agree with
y'all knew. Hey, look, you assholes knew that was coming because of the chat group we were in earlier. I was trying to restrain myself, but the goddamn Incredible Hulk came out, so I said it. Damn it.
He said a megalodon. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Aaron.
No, I agree. KJ didn't. He was all about KJ in that final year. And here's the thing: he's gonna go to UCF, probably all about KJ there too. His goal now is to try to get himself drafted. I mean, he's not going to go there trying to necessarily win a American title for UCF. He's going to try to put up huge numbers to get himself drafted.
They're in the Big 12 now, but yeah, no, there's no fucking way.
Right. Well, Big 12, you're right.
So, did I ever tell you the KJ story?
Is the Big 12 really that loaded anymore? Are they loaded?
Did I ever tell y'all about the KJ Snapchat story from BYU? No. Did I ever tell you guys that? So it came out after we lost that BYU game to the fucking Mormons, as I called them that night. It came out that this motherfucker, some bitch on Twitter, called him out for Snapchatting her. And I thought about Brad because I was like, this is some shit Brad would say. But he Snapchatted this bitch on the way to the game and said, after we beat BYU, you gonna let me suck on them titties? I was like, God damn.
Oh, but I remember the story now, but
how you gonna go play the Mormons?
I mean, hey, dude, look. First of all, it wasn't a Mormon girl because I mean, shit, polygamy. Hello. But real quick. But real quick. Also, though, don't you remember the whole scenario of even like DJ Williams and all the Marcus Elliott's of the world were questioning the team's mentality, especially because, and they're on the field like chumming it up with these guys, and they're like, dude, you just lost a game that you probably shouldn't have lost at home or wherever, and you're buddy with the opposing team. I mean, granted, you're not out there it's not Sparta or 300, but at the same time, you know, you don't see Alabama losing a game and them going, hey, oh, look, boy, this is my friend. No, you don't. You have to have a killer mentality to compete. That's what Saban preached. That's what Kirby Smart preached. Sarkisian, when he's not drinking, that's what he preaches, is that killer attitude. You know, that mentality of, you know, and that's, you know, they say Bobby is calmed down exponentially, but they've also said that behind closed doors, he's still the four-letter word king. And so it's just one of those situations where, you know, I
have to calm down.
You know, Michael, now I respect KJ a little bit. I hope he got to. Well, I wonder if he still got to.
As long as he's got no hiring, as long as he's got no decision making with hiring, we're good. We're good. keep him away from the motorcycles and the hiring.
No, give that dude a blonde and a motorcycle and let's go win 10 games. I don't give a damn, dude. If you're throwing hush money at Stormy Daniels at this point, dude, if you win me 10 games, you can fuck me in the ass. I don't care.
Well, seeing as how he just said that, or hold up. Seeing as how we're setting the over under, I mean, are we going to allow Bobby to take shits on people and let him sit there for 30 minutes? Oh, damn!
If we go 10-2, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
I was about to say, let's be honest though.
I mean, dude, look. If he wants to do that and he wins me 10 games, I will buy that guy a cheap strut, a gray suit, and give him some theme music for no chance. I don't care.
There's a I don't know if you guys ever heard the story Ron White told on one of his stand-up shows a long time ago, where he was like talking about this guy on death row who was mentally challenged, and they said, you know, what's he do? Well, he rubs shit in his hair and eats crayons. And he goes, well, I'll buy him all the crayons he wants the rest of his life. What's this retarded guy do? He murders people. Well, he should have ate shit and played with crayons. So that's the way I feel about Bobby. I don't care what the hell Bobby does. As long as he wins, I'll buy him all the freaking I can't buy him a Harley, but I mean, well, he can have all the volleyball players he wants as long as we win.
Let's be honest. Like, legitimately, Jeff Long's career at Arkansas ended the day he fired Bobby Petrino, because nobody thought that Bobby should have been fired that day. Everybody was like, he fucked some chick. Like, who cares? Like, nobody understood until later. And then we were like, he was still so good. Couldn't we have kept him a couple more years? Like, legitimately, everybody wanted Bobby to stick around. So it's one of those things that it could have been so much. It could have been so good. It could have been so good. He could have gotten away with murder after that BCS appearance. Like, legitimately, Bobby Petrino could have pulled somebody in the middle of Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, put a gun to their skull, pulled the trigger, and Brad Hicks would have been on the witness stand saying, I do solemnly affirm that this man did not shoot that bitch. She held the gun to her own skull. Legitimately,
the
though.
people to help hide the body.
Let's look at it. I think that I legitimately think that the downfall of Razorback football can be all traced back to that kickoff or that punt return from Tyrann Mathieu, because everything fell. I mean, we had the Cotton Bowl win, but everything happened from there. Everything bad happened from there. Like, and yes, there were moments. Like, I know Trey Biddy said at one point, this is the, when he was talking about Chad Morris, this is the worst 10-year period in Arkansas football history and so on and so forth. Am I completely negative on the Brett Bielema era? Absolutely not. Brett had the unfortunate problem of following Bobby Petrino, which was a no-win situation unless Brett took us to the BCS. Let's be honest. We still thought we were national championship caliber post Bobby Petrino. And we were very spoiled in Bobby Petrino.
I agree.
I don't think people look at Brett Bielema with fair. And trust me, I was ready for him to be fired by the time he was fired. But I don't think people look at Brett Bielema in fairness. Like, Brett was I'm not going to say he was a great coach. I will say he was a good coach. I would even go as far to say he was a very good coach. There were games that he lost that he absolutely should have never lost. Toledo comes up, strikes with me. And there was another one that he lost that I was like, why the fuck did we just lose that game? I forget which one it was. But, I mean, Brett was a good coach. He just wasn't great.
I want to ask both of you guys, because y'all watched Brad, you watched more Razorback sports than we have, and Michael, you watched as much as I have. So was there ever a crazier, like more up and down year than 2015? I started thinking about this the other day. 2015, we started off with the win, and then we lost to Toledo and Little Rock. We lost to Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech and Fayetteville. But then we turned around later on that year, and we beat LSU. We beat Ole Miss on the road, who was playing for the SEC West that day, when in the Hunter Henry Heave. The next week, we went to LSU, blew them out.
Was that the Liberty Bowl year that we beat Kansas State?
I think it was, yeah. So it was, but there were so many, like, me and Kelly, my wife, went to that Toledo game. And that was literally that morning we decided to go. And we found tickets online, and we were sitting in the end zone. It was the first time she'd ever been to a game. And when that fourth down pass in the end zone fell incomplete at the end of the game, I looked at her and went, how the hell did we just lose to Toledo? And then the next week, Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech came in before anybody knew who Patrick Mahomes was, and whooped the dog shit out of us in Fayetteville. But then a few weeks later, we go to Oxford and we beat Ole Miss, who's ranked in the top 15 and playing for the SEC West. We go to Baton Rouge the next week and beat an 8-1 LSU team and beat them like a drum, beat them like 2 touchdowns in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. And I'm like, how does
that was Brett's first SEC win too, wasn't it?
No, this was 15. This was the second year.
Oh, yeah.
Third year. And also, that was the year where Dak Prescott, that overrated piece of shit, came to Fayetteville with Mississippi State, and they put up like 60 on us, and we put up 57, and we lost because Bielema kicked the field goal at the end, so they go for a touchdown. I mean, that year was so up and down. That had nothing to do with the topics. It just popped into my head earlier today, actually, like what crazy year 2015 was. And that might have been the start of Brett's kind of downfall.
Well, I mean, so yes,
well, are we talking
that was
specific sports, or
Go
are we
ahead.
talking? Are we talking
Any
specific
sport.
sports? Oh yeah. I would say.
I want to say the Belt Bowl
years
was
in
the
the- in
end
the
of
ni-
Brett Bielema.
Well, see, you hate Brett Bielema, goddamn it, and
Hold up, just because you stepped away, Aaron, remind Mr. Hicks what I literally just said while he was stepped away.
He said Brett was a good coach. Not great, but good.
I said Brett was a very good coach, and I feel like Razorback fans will remember him more fondly as we get away from him. But I went back and I said, I think that, because Trey Biddy has said before, Brad, that, the last 10 years has been the worst 10 years, in Razorback history, whenever Chad Morris was there at that time. And I was like, I feel like people give Brett a lot more shit than what he deserves, because Brett had a few good years. I think that
the biggest thing.
Go ahead.
The biggest thing with Brett Bielema, I was just saying, the biggest knock on Brett Bielema was that he tried to bring Big Ten ball to the SEC, and the SEC isn't about Big Ten ball anymore like it was before.
Yeah.
I mean, at one time it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, as Frank Bulls would adequately coin the term. But now I think it's the athleticism and you have to have an offense that works. I thought Brett was a solid coach. I thought Brett deserved at least one more year.
Oh, yeah, I do remember
have an
saying
opportunity.
That. I think the Belt Bowl, though, I think his fate was sealed at that Belt Bowl. I think when Virginia Tech, I think it was, came back.
But you want to talk about
up
and down seasons. I think you can really go to a lot of the Houston Nutt years as well. You can go back and look at what Houston was able to, because that was the thing with Houston Nutt. Remember, guys, that was the biggest thing with Houston Nutt, was that he would win the big games and lose the games he was not supposed to, or wasn't supposed to lose. He would lose the games he wasn't supposed to win. We would get up. He had this aura about him that would get you up. I mean, granted, 2015 was a weird year, but I mean, you can go back and look at the 2010s and Houston Nutt era teams, the 2000, 99. It was a weird year. But I don't know. I mean, there's been so many basketballs, had a lot of ups and downs. I mean, guys, y'all probably don't remember it, or maybe you do. But I remember I was in Lake Hamilton at my aunt and uncle's lake house, where we went every summer, and I watched Arkansas lose to Memphis in like the first round of the NCAA tournament after coming off like a Final Four appearance. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
I remember the worst one I remember in the NCAA tournament was Bucknell. Where the fuck even is Bucknell?
Didn't we lose to? Well, you know what, dude? First of all, we had fucking Wrestling with Death as our head coach, a goddamn funeral director, and we had Big Daddy LaFonce as our fucking coach for 2 years, or however long Stan Heath was here. Dude was at Kent State, bro. Dude was at Kent State, and literally he had 14 coaches or 14 players, basically Latrell Sprewell, his Carlissimo ass. And basically we're like, you know what, Stan, we're not going to do what shit, dude. We're gonna go 2K NBA 24, dude. I'm going to run my own plays. I'm going to drill through my legs, bounce it off your fucking dome, and I'm going to shoot, dude. I'm a ball hog. Literally, that was the thing. I'm not wrong in this. And it's funny, but it's not funny. They literally told Stan Heath, look, dude, sit your milk dud headed ass down over there, dude. We got this, man. So, I mean, like I say that to say this. Be very, very, very gracious of what you have on the hill, because it could be worse. We had Michael's redheaded cousin, John Pelfrey.
Very true. Very
The
true.
Adam's apple of college basketball was our head coach.
God
That
bless. I
dude-
remember John
That
Pelfrey.
dude had a national championship trophy in his throat. Just saying.
I remember Pelf. And then when Pelfrey finally got fired is when we got Mike Anderson. And Mike Anderson was here for quite a while. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. I think Brett was here overall just as long as Houston, or maybe just shy of just as long as Houston. Because
Who?
Brett was here for a good 5 years, wasn't he?
Houston was
You know,
here for
Houston Nutt was here for 10 years.
Was
Yeah.
Houston here for a full 10? Because I
Yeah.
thought Houston left in 07 and he got hired in like 99, didn't he?
He got hired in 98.
No,
Okay.
98.
Okay.
So he was here almost
He
9
got
years.
hired in like December of 97, but yeah,
So
98
still,
was his first year.
since Houston, though, the longest tenure we've had is Brett Bielema. And then the second longest tenure we've had since Houston, Sam Pittman. Think about that one.
So there's been a lot of like,
that's
talking up and downs about Arkansas sports, but like Brad just said, we should be kind of grateful in some ways, because if you just take away, even if you take away the three main sports, we got a really good softball coach. Our track and field teams doing what they always do. They're winning championships like crazy left and right still. We have a top 10 golf program. We have a volleyball.
Hell, we almost won the Natty in, what was it, gymnastics this year?
Gymnastics and volleyball made it to the Elite Eight. So, sports.
Hey, guys, I'm going to step away for just a minute, so I'll be back in a little bit.
All right. Overall, right now, the U of A is just cooking at pretty much all sports except football, which hopefully that changes soon, but, we don't know. But in all other sports, basketball, women's basketball, because they won't fire Mike Neighbors for whatever reason. I think he's got something on Hunter Yurachek. I don't know, but he's turned that women's basketball program. He turned it from really good to really mid, like that. Like they're not terrible enough to justify, I guess, in Hunter Yurachek's mind, to justify firing them, but they're not good enough to win anything really either. So they're just kind of coasting along. I mean, that's a sport people would get behind if they had a reason to. But, when the team wins non-conference and then gets blown out in conference games, it's, it is what it is.
I mean, you're not wrong. Oh,
but yeah,
Lord.
we've gone for over 2 hours, so
over 2 hours.
Yeah. This was a really good first episode, though.
It was.
And we had some topics that we'll wait and discuss them by next week, or hopefully we do one next week. Then we'll have an NBA Finals to talk about too, because I think both series will probably be over by that point.
Probably.
So, it looks like Boston's going to sweep. I don't know what happened tonight, but they were up big last time I looked on
Did
Indiana.
Boston? I was about to say Boston pulled it out again. Son of a 114-111.
Oh, it's closer. Okay, it got close.
Wow.
At one point, they were up by like 15 or something when I looked, so I just assumed that game was a blowout. But Indiana plays well at home, so maybe they can sneak out and win in Game 4 and force 5. But I think it's probably going to be a sweep.
Yeah, I think I have a hard time thinking anybody's going to give Boston a hard time. I maybe Dallas, maybe.
I think it's because they got they do have Kyrie Irving, who's a playoff machine. Like he's good during the season, but once the playoffs hit, that's when Kyrie Irving explodes, and he hadn't really exploded so far in this playoff run. So maybe he's waiting for the finals to show.
I mean, let's be honest. The Dallas Mavericks are overachieving from here on out. The rest of it's gravy. Like they weren't supposed to get past the Thunder, so for them, this is all gravy.
Agreed. Although I do honestly think the Thunder had a great year. I always thought before the playoffs even started, they were too young to get to the finals. I didn't think they had enough firepower. I mean, they got firepower, but I thought that they were just really, really young. A lot of second, third-year guys playing on their team. Like their starting five is incredibly young.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily think Dallas would beat them, because I didn't know Dallas would get that far. I didn't know they'd get past the Clippers, because the Clippers seemed to be their kryptonite. But this year they finally got past that hurdle of the Clippers, and once they did, they pretty much dominated the Thunder. I know the Thunder won 2 games, but it was once Dallas got inside and started using Gafford to kind of punish the smaller guys at Oklahoma. Oklahoma City has some tall players, but they got some skinny players. Like that Chet Holmgren guy needs to put some weight on, because he was getting bounced around down low like crazy.
We
So
were talking about what Gafford and Jay Will in that battle. Like they were not looking like they were former teammates. They were battling, man.
Yeah, and that was fun to. And Gafford's man, I'm very, very happy and proud for Gafford. He's playing his tail off. He's earned himself a lot of money with this postseason run because he's been putting up numbers.
100%. Like I know we all were proud of Bobby whenever Bobby won it. 2 or 3 years ago with the Bucks. Yeah. But man, Gafford is definitely making a strong case to be one of the most successful Razorbacks post, school. And that's one thing you got to look at. We'll probably talk more about Cal because I know you were wanting to wrap up. We'll probably talk more about Cal next week, but a lot of people need to, again, put it into perspective. Like, yes, did the divorce happen and it wasn't a fun? No. Yeah, it happened. It wasn't fun. It's never fun to get left for, especially somebody that, let's be honest, was a worse job. But let's look back at what he gave us while he was here. I mean, come on now. We all still fondly remember fucking UConn and that fucking NCAA tournament game. Fucking Muss pulling off his fucking shirt. Fucking, we beat a number 1 seed. Like,
you talking about Kansas?
Do what?
Talking about Kansas?
UConn beat Kansas? I thought it was UConn.
UConn beat the dog out of us last year.
It was, yeah. You're right. But anyway, we beat a number 1 seed. Like, never.
Yeah.
We never fucking happens at Arkansas, and we finally fucking did it. And you got to look. I know sometimes they can be hard, but as Razorback fans, we got to look at what he brought. Like 6 months ago, when we were beating Purdue, nobody was talking shit about fucking Muss. Like, y'all got to remember to keep the same energy sometimes.
I'm not anti-Muss. Like, I was a big Muss fan. I think I got kind of irritated and pissed off when he left because, like you said, he left for while a part of me understands he's a West Coast guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you leave us to go to a UCLA, man, I'll help you pack your bags. That's UCLA is a fucking
top 9,000 seat venue. Like, come on, bro. 9,000 seats when you got the fucking most beautiful arena in college basketball in the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, if he leaves us to go to a program like a UCLA or even a Stanford or something like that, that's understandable. But to go to USC, I was pissed. And the fact that, let's be honest, he left nothing here. He left nothing. When Cal got hired, his number one thing, one of the first things he said in his press conference was, well, I just had a team meeting. There's no team. So literally we had no players. We had like 2 players during the transfer portal at that point. And that was it. So that part irritates me. But yes, there was a lot of fun memories, a lot of, the back-to-back Elite Eights, the Sweet 16 the third year, beating Gonzaga, beating Kansas, so back-to-back number 1 seeds and the back-to-back years. We knocked them both out. And Kansas was the defending national champions, too. They were like the overall number 1 seed that year, and we knocked them out. So, and we played Duke hard. Duke that year was destined for the final because Coach Cal last year. So we lost to Baylor and won the Elite Eight, who won the national title that year. And then we lost to Duke, who got to the title game that year. And then we lost last year to UConn, who is now back-to-back national champions. So there was nothing to be ashamed of in those losses. And he did a lot for us. And he got us, I mean, we were in the Maui tournament. That was awesome. Like, I can't remember the last time we were in the Maui tournament. We got to play in that thing on Thanksgiving week. We made it to the finals, I think, or semis or whatever it was. I think we made it to the finals.
Here's the thing. You're going to lose coaches. But if you look at it, and I think if Brad, I don't know if he's back yet, but if you look at it objectively, no matter what, and again, I know it stings. I know you got left for the uglier chick. I know all of that. But did Coach Musselman leave the program in a better place than he found it overall? And what I mean by that, obviously, I know he didn't leave any players or anything, but when you look at it, would we have even got Coach Cal to sniff around when Musselman was hired?
Probably
not.
Probably not.
And I think that's a testament. I will give Eric Musselman all the credit in the world as to what he was able to accomplish while he was here. And Musk pissed freaking Cal off. Like, legitimately, Musk gave him what for? And that's something that, can you believe a year ago we would have been taking great pride in beating the shit out of Calipari? And we took great pride when we beat Calipari. And now we're cheering for that motherfucker every year. That's weird.
Seeing him do the hog call the first time, and it's on the Hawks Plus too. Seeing him do the hog call for the first time with the red jacket on was one of the most surreal kind of, oh my god. I think the only thing that could ever surpass it in my lifetime would be seeing Nick Saban wear the red.
I was about to say the only thing I can compare it to, as far as a guy who was probably one of the most hated guys in all of sports in this state, is Nick Saban. It's the only thing you can compare it to. Nick Saban wearing the fucking Arkansas Razorbacks gear and fucking coaching us. Like, that is the only thing you can compare it to.
John Calipari always seemed like kind of a fun-loving, in a way, guy. Like, I could see him doing the hog call. It was weird, but it was cool. I could not see Nick Saban standing up and doing the hog call if he got hired here. Like, he would be sitting there looking around like they was crusty old 70-year-old ass going, "What the hell's going on? Why are y'all doing this stupid crap? I'm not doing this." Like, I can see Nick Saban going, "Yeah, I'm not calling the hogs during my press conference. I'm not doing that. I'm a football coach." Calipari did it, laughed about it, but I could see Saban going, "Yeah, right, that ain't happening."
Nick, definitely. Man, here's the thing. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it was time for Nick to go and shit in at Bama," but like, bro, Nick wasn't leaving that job unless it was on Nick's terms. They would have never fired Nick Saban. Never. It was not one of those, hey, Nick Saban had a bad year. It's time to let him go. Like, that was always the joke about Alabama fans. You lose one game and all of a sudden you want Coach Saban to be fired because you're not used to it. But they would have never fired that man. That man would have died on the field if they would have gotten their way, because they would have never let him go.
They wouldn't have, nor should they have. I mean, my God, I'm not.
He passed. Did he finally pass Bear, or did he only tie Bear in Natty's?
And Natty's, I think he passed him.
I think he finally passed him.
Yeah, I think he passed him. But okay, I'm when games are going on, seasons here, I hate with a passion. I hate Alabama. I hate and I still hate Alabama and their fans. I still hate Alabama. I respect the university. I respect the history of Alabama football. The fan base can go to hell. And if you're watching this, you're an Alabama fan, you can go to hell. Sorry, it's just the way I feel. I had a massive issue with an Alabama crowd in like 2012, and I've never lost. Like, these people coming into Russellville, where I was living, to a hotel that I was staying in, and laughing at me because I was wearing Razorback gear the day that Arkansas Alabama played. And I remember looking at one going, "Do you know where the fuck you are? Like, I'm not the only person in the state wearing a Razorback shirt." But these fuckers thought they were so special and such God's gift to the world that they're the only ones that should be allowed around. I hate Alabama fans, but anyway, I can still respect what Nick Saban's done. He's one of the greatest coaches that's ever lived, if not the greatest college coach that's ever lived. If not number one, number two, or three, he's somewhere in there. And so for them to want to run him out of town is blasphemy and ridiculous. It's just stupid. And
legitimately, here's the thing. I know that Washington did so good this year, and good for Washington, and so on and so forth. Alabama's not going to sniff the success. And I feel like they know this. They're not going to sniff the success that they had in the Saban era for quite some time. And that's not a knock on their ability to recruit. That's not a knock on any. It's just that doesn't happen anymore. You don't get those sustained dynasties in college football anymore, which is a good thing. You don't. Nobody's going to come in and, I mean, damn, he was there for 16 years and won like 9, 11, 12, 14, 15, 17, 18, and 20, like 8 natties in that. That's like literally a natty every other year.
Yeah, it's nuts what he did there, and let's remember Alabama. I know it's the Arkansas podcast, but for a second, Alabama was so far as to say garbage before he got there.
Oh
Like
God!
there
The
was about
last season we
period.
beat them was the year before he got there.
Yeah, there was like a 10-year period from the time that what's the guy's name? Gene Stallings retired in like 90. He was coaching in 5 when we beat him in Alabama,
Who
but maybe
was
in
that?
97. From that point until Saban got there, they were at the best average. They were
Who
not
the
good.
fuck was that dumbass that was there before Nick?
There was Mike DeBose, and then was
Oh, he was somebody's kid. I remember that. What was his name?
Shula. Mike
Shula. Yeah, Mike Shula. Yeah, that kid. Oh my goodness. I still, yeah. Like, just remember, just take a moment to remember where you were. Because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have a feeling you'll be. George is the new SEC daddy. And that'll be there for a little bit. And then Kirby will get knocked off. And, you know, I think we're probably at the end of the SEC dominance. But we'll see.
I think you're probably right. I don't want to end this because this has been a lot of fun, but we've been going forever, and my kids are starting to yell and scream at each other, so I better go see what the heck. But
Right on.
Michael, and I know Brad's not here right now, but Brad, thank you guys for joining and being a part of this. It's going to be fun. I want to try to do this as often as possible. I know y'all got busy schedules, but Sunday, most of the time it'll probably be on Sundays. This was a special one because I had a free night tonight, so I thought I'd do it tonight. But I'm gonna try to do one next Sunday afternoon if you guys are free, and I'll come up with. We can all come up with some topics in the group chat. Just let us know, type in some topics, and we'll discuss it. But for anybody that's watching this, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.